Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show. Right on coming. I'm just sorry. I got thinking about other things. Fuck it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show today. I'm your host, John Campea, and we can already tell it's going to be one of those days. It is good to have you here. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV, streaming, sexual innuendo jokes, and all sorts of good stuff. And of course, joining me over here, this little inside joke, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, I am basking in the afterglow of witnessing something I wanted to see for over 40 years.
Me naked.
We have not even discussed it yet.
For 40 years?
Nope.
We have not even discussed Moon Knight yet, even behind the scenes. I didn't want to ask you what you thought about it until we started the show.
I will wait. I will refrain till we discuss it.
We will talk about it in just a little bit here.
I did watch it twice.
I only had a chance to watch it once because I did watch it at midnight.
Same.
But still, sitting over here, of course, because it's Wednesday. She's here on Wednesdays. Erin Cummings is here. Oh, what's she reading?
I'm sorry. I didn't see you sitting there. I was busy reading my April 4th issue of Soap Opera Digest featuring this sweet piece of ass right here.
Wow.
Yeah, that is my sweet piece of ass, my husband, Tom Degnan.
Wow, that's a full page spread.
Oh, not just that. He spreads
Like a multi-page?
a double page spread. There's a picture of me, but when I had breast cancer, there's a picture of us, and the only public image of baby Tommy. I was doing some publicity for something else, for an organization that I am the ambassador for, Baby Quest, for anybody out there needing some IVF financial support. And they sent out a press release saying that she's married to actor Tom Degnan. They just had a baby. And Soap Opera Digest saw the press release, said, "Oh my God, we love Tom Degnan," who, by the way, if you were a One Life to Live fan, he played the fourth or fifth or something Joey Buchanan on One Life to Live, and he played somebody on As the World Turns, and lots of other fun things. IMDb him. And they called him up and said, "Oh my God, soap fans really miss you. Can we find out what's going on with you?" And so he did this great, and it's on newsstands now. So if you want to find out what's going on with my sweet piece of ass, Tom Degnan, check it out.
Because I know my day's not complete until I've read my Soap Opera Digest.
Let me tell you, as a lifelong General Hospital fan, sometimes I dip back in because
Luke and Laura, baby.
Robert Scorpio, Anna Devane, Sean Donnelly passed away. The actor who played Sean Donnelly.
I'm secretly gunning for him to get on Young and the Restless. Just my personal dream. I would love that.
Would he be an Abbott? That's the question.
I don't know what that means. I just know that he would be working every day, and I would be able to take a bath in the middle of the afternoon.
Sitting beside Erin today is Chris Carr, who is here also. Chris, how are you doing?
Hi. I also go by Erin's sweet piece of ass. That's also my nickname.
That is her
too,
name.
So,
And it is a delightful honor to have you guys here joining us here today. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it down into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, if you'd like to get a live comment or question on the show, you got to be watching live. That's the most important thing. But just use the super chat feature in the live chat and send that in, and we'll read those off when we get to the end of the main topics. Now, we turned it on about 60 seconds ago, and it's almost full already. So you've got about another 45 seconds to a minute and a half to fire in a super chat if you'd like it read off, and then we're going to have to shut it down for the day. Also, a little bit of housekeeping, guys. Want to remind you that if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news, there is an audio-only version of the show called simply The John Campea Show Podcast that you can find on your favorite podcasting app of choice. Just go on over and grab it so it's there when you need it. Also, don't forget, guys, that we now have a separate podcast feed for our show, Movie Club. And of course, yesterday, Rob, me, and Ray, we did the newest episode of Movie Club, and we talked about Man of Steel, what I think is the most underrated comic book film of all time.
It was a great conversation, I thought.
It was a wonderful conversation yesterday. I enjoyed it a lot. So go and subscribe to Movie Club today so you can listen to it at your leisure. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get into some off the tops here, shall we? We got a number of them. So let's start off with this. You know, it is an understatement to say that Game of Thrones is one of the biggest shows of all time. it probably is the biggest pop cultural phenomena show ever. Like, no television show has ever dominated the entire landscape of pop culture like Game of Thrones did. It was absolutely incredible. Set every record for Emmy Awards and wins and like cable's viewership and everything you can possibly name. It did. Now, of course, it's come to an end, but we've known for a while that there is a prequel series coming that's called House of the Dragon, which is set how long before?
Like 300 years?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
several hundred years before the events of Game of Thrones. So that's coming there. But now we actually have a release date, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting. So here's what we got. This is coming to us from the folks over at Deadline, who write the following. The wait for the much anticipated prequel is almost over. HBO has announced that the debut date for the Game of Thrones prequel from George R.R. Martin, Ryan Condal, and Miguel, I always mispronounce his last name, Sapachik, will premiere in August, on August 21st. So we're almost in April, May, June, July. We're like
That's very soon.
like a little over 4 months away from this thing launching, which I'm super excited about.
What a year this is shaping up to be.
Oh, but it gets more interesting, because here's the thing. Interestingly, House of the Dragon will debut ahead of that other big budget fantasy series that's in the works, Amazon Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power series. The streamer already announced that its upcoming J.R.R. Tolkien adaptation is coming September 2nd. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to be living in a world where both the new Game of Thrones series and the new Lord of the Rings series are going to be running at the same time. With the House of the Dragon coming out of the gates a little bit first, and then Amazon. And I gotta tell you, that put a big smile on my face. I am absolutely rabid to watch both of these shows. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, August. I was honestly thinking they were going to push it to like December. I didn't think we were going to get to December. Maybe even announce, because this is what HBO does. Maybe even announce they change it to an early 2023 release. But it's coming in like less than 5 months now. I'm stoked about it. Rob, you hear about this. What do you think about, number one, the release date coming in August? And where's your anticipation level for this show right now? And this show and Lord of the Rings running at the same time. What do you think?
First of all, I can't help but chuckle because House of the Dragon is, of course, Warner Brothers, HBO, that controls the Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit films. And they're making War of the Rohirrim, the animated show. Well, now Amazon has taken over the Lord of the Rings rights. I can't help but think this is a not unsubtle middle finger to Amazon show, which I love because it's a horse race now. Now we're going to have two shows that, like you, I'm very excited for both. But we're going to be able to compare and contrast. And I think, in a way, it's going to be very graphic, healthy competition to see which show's better, and people are going to have to, obviously the show's going to be completed. There's not going to be really much time to make mid-season course corrections because they'll be pretty much done. But it's going to be very interesting to see these two epic fantasy shows. Arguably, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings world began the modern fantasy epic in the modern age. And Game of Thrones, which started in the 90s, sort of took what Tolkien began, classical fantasy, classical European folktales, and brought it into a very sort of modern arena in terms of what it was dealing with in terms of the portrayal of interpersonal relationships and sex and violence. So it's two sides of the same genre. And I'm really excited to see how they're going to be dealt with.
I'll tell you right now, I don't believe at all this is any kind of a Warner Brothers sticking it to, because here's the thing. You ever notice that when you go, wherever you go, if you go to buy a car and you like drive to a dealership, you realize there are 12 other dealerships like all on the same block. Or you go to an area of town where you're looking for some McNuggets or some McDonald's, there's going to be 4 or 5 other fast food restaurants there, because they know they like to create these areas where people know that's where we go to buy cars. That's where we go to this. I honestly think they planted that there, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some communication between Amazon and HBO, because I honestly think both of these shows playing at the same time, I honestly believe this is going to help both of them.
Oh,
I think you're right
think
about
so.
the people. We're going to be contrasting, comparing them. That's what we do. But I think this is creating, like if you're a fantasy genre fan, these are going to create like must-watch weeks, like absolute must-watch.
I agree,
weeks.
but it was nice. It's funny that HBO is like, going to drop it 2 weeks before your show.
I have a feeling they both probably knew exactly when their shows were dropping. Like when by the time we find out, like the people in the executive offices, they all know these things.
They
But
absolutely
I don't know,
knew
we'll
what
see.
they were doing. August is my birthday month, and they were like, "We're gonna make Chris Carr feel so seen."
Yep.
So what do you think about this?
I actually my excitement level is increasing for this show because before we've talked about this off the show, John, that I still feel like they did my girl Danny dirty. You stand by that was the only way to end the show, and I respect that.
I said for years that was exactly where it was going. It was the inevitable conclusion for her.
I still
Nobody
just love,
believed me though.
No, we all thought she was going to stay this wonderful, wonderful character, and what a turn. But it was very, compelling. Shout out to all those young moms who named their child Daenerys.
That is the most hilarious thing I remember after the finale. Like literally stories from around the world of parents who named their daughters. How do you say her name?
Daenerys.
Daenerys, like naming their kid that is like, whoops, it's like naming her Palpatine.
Well,
Right.
how great is it when those kids actually sit down and watch Game of Thrones and realize, oh, wait a minute. Wait,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah, what's going on here?
I have a friend named Nirvana, and she goes, "I'm so happy that they actually turned out to be a cool band." That could have gone really bad.
Oh,
What if
man.
she was named Nickelback?
Oh,
Sorry, Nickelback. Low hanging fruit. I actually like Nickelback. I'm sorry. It was the low hanging fruit.
I do think though that I'm excited to see the show because I like when we do kind of historic looks at things. Like I love a whole bunch of the Lord of the Rings universe, right? I love the Silmarillion and all of that kind of stuff. And so I think this is going to be really, really cool to look back at it. My concern is I don't want it to be, and I know it's one of your favorites, I don't want it to be a Smallville situation where I'm like, I know none of this matters. I know none of this has any consequences because I know who Clark's going to end up with. I know how things are going to pan out for him. So I'm hoping this is kind of a deep dive into the history of this world and also just sets us up for those things that we know are coming, but in a really interesting and foreboding way.
That's why I like when you talk about. I don't like the idea of Star Wars prequels because you know how everything turns out. But I'm okay with going to High Republic or Old Republic because as long as you put enough time between you where everything that's happening has its own consequences. It can't be 5 years before Game of Thrones because then you know how everything turns out. But hundreds of years before,
Yeah.
maybe you'll know how 1 or 2 important things turn out. But for the most part, it's good. So that's why I kind of like that choice. Aaron, were you a big Game of Thrones watcher? And what
I
do you
was
think
such a-
about the release date and playing at the same time of Lord of the Rings?
So when Tom and I first started dating, he was like, listen, if this is going to go anywhere, I'm really going to need you to get on board with Game of Thrones. So he lovingly rewatched the first 4 seasons, which is where the show was at that point. Rewatched the first 4 seasons, videotaping my reactions to everything without me knowing it. There is still video of
Time. Did he videotape you watching the Red Wedding?
He did.
I got to see that tape. I totally got to see that tape.
I was bawling and I ran out of the room and flung myself face down onto his bed and sobbed for probably 10 minutes. And then I started.
Are those the
I ever
only
watched.
tapes that exist? Because that's a little weird, isn't it? Did you know this was going on?
Yes, Rob, there
Okay.
might be other tapes of me and Tom together. What are you asking?
Oh, I just wanted to know that you, if you knew you were being
Fine, Rob, I'll
videotaped.
show you our sex tape. I'm sorry, what?
I just
I
wanted
did
to know.
not know that I was being videotaped. No, I did not know that.
That's all I was asking.
No, I did. So it was a genuine reaction. It wasn't like an actress moment.
Right,
Of,
right.
oh, this will be fun.
Well, because that's like John. I would love to see that tape of the Red Wedding because I love. Remember when you had reactions of people on?
Oh, some of
line?
the best videos I've ever seen on YouTube are the montages of the
Dude.
collected Red Wedding reactions.
I
Some
know-
of the best videos of all time.
I know,
Oh,
and if you
absolutely.
didn't know you're being taped, I mean, I can't imagine because I'd read the I knew what was
Yeah.
going on, but
Oh man.
when it was so fun to watch, I kind of felt a little sadistic, know,
Yeah.
watching like.
Oh yeah, there's several of those. He should do a compilation video. But what this reminds me of is back in the 90s, Gen X, I see you, TGIF. It was the greatest night of the week to watch television. You had Steve Urkel. There was a whole lineup of comedy shows that you could watch, and it was sort of like everybody gathered around the television on Friday nights. Great way to keep kids at home. But this kind of is a similar thing. Is, as you were saying, John, you make it a destination that people go, okay, I'm back in front
Yeah.
of my TV. I am, and I like how there's, we have one that's kind of leading everybody in. and then we're going to be following it up. I was a huge Game of Thrones fan. And I agree with you, John. I love the idea of bringing it way, way back, but we're still going to have the families. Even though we're not going to see all of the characters that we've grown to know and love, we're going to get to meet all these other new characters, but they're going to have the Targaryen line. We're going to see the genesis of when these families separated, who had alliances then that now we know, is at war with one another. It's going to be really exciting for those of us who were big Game of Thrones fans to to see the genesis of all of the drama we've come to know and love.
Well, guys, question is for you. Have you been looking forward to this? I am. I think Matt Smith looks awesome in this.
Yeah.
By the way,
Agreed. I love him.
That is Matt Smith.
That is-
Wow.
yeah, that's Matty
and
Ice.
Who's the woman next to him?
I cannot remember.
Okay, that's okay.
I cannot remember, but I know Reza Fons is in it as well, and I love him. So I'm pretty excited about this. Question is for you guys. Are you excited about this? It's coming in August. What do you think about the fact that it's pretty much going to be playing at the same time of Lord of the Rings? I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very stoked for that. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move into another off the top, and it's an unfortunate one, but it is this. We have been making jokes for the last 15 years or so about Big B Bruce Willis, because pretty much in everything he does the last number of years, he literally just phones it in and sleepwalks through it. And the reason we tease about it is because we know how good of an actor he actually is. And that's been the part for me that's been frustrating, because if he was only a modestly talented actor, who cares? But we know the guy is amazing. He's so good when he turns it on, Well, apparently Bruce Willis and his family have made the decision that he is now stepping away from acting. They're not using the word retirement, but I think it's pretty clear. Bruce Willis has announced that he's pretty much retiring from acting, as he's been diagnosed with a word that I was unfamiliar with, a medical terminology I was unfamiliar with, aphasia, which is apparently a condition where you
I have it right here. I can read it if you want.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Read that.
Aphasia is a language disorder that affects a person's ability to communicate. It can occur suddenly after a stroke or head injury, or develop slowly from a growing brain tumor or disease. Aphasia affects a person's ability to express and understand written and spoken language. Once the underlying cause is treated, the main treatment for aphasia is speech therapy.
So, building off of what Aaron just told us about, here's what the Hollywood Reporter has written. Bruce Willis is stepping away from his acting career after being diagnosed with aphasia, which leads to the loss of ability to understand or express speech, his family said in a statement posted to social media. To Bruce's amazing supporters, as a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities, read the statement. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him and meant so much to many, many people. Now, I don't know, from what you were just reading, Aaron, if this is it sounds like there are treatments. I don't know if this is treatment that can just slow it down. I don't know if this is a condition that can
It says treatment can help, but the condition can't be cured.
And there's also at least 3 different types of aphasia, because they can affect different parts of your brain. So different lobes can be affected. That's why certain ones are really, really tied to speech recognition. There's others that are just basic item recognition, not knowing what words are in connection to the item it actually is. So there's a couple different types of it as well.
And it would be interesting also to find out, thank you for that, Chris. It'd be interesting to find out if they choose to release this information. Obviously, this is very private, but what the underlying cause of the aphasia was. Did he have a head trauma? Does he have a brain tumor? Did he have a stroke? Did he have, a head injury, as this is saying, is that it's not, it comes from something else. So I think that if they choose to release that information of what caused the aphasia, I think that might also give us more information.
So look, obviously, this is news that literally dropped about 10, 15 minutes before we started the show today. So we have not prepared in any way, shape, or form to talk about the glorious, fantastic Hall of Fame, frankly, career of Bruce Willis. But I just wanted to say this. If this is the end of Willis's career, and he decides to hang it up at this point, and by the way, health issues or not, this dude has put in his time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He has given, not only has he given us a large amount of movies, some of which maybe not so good, he has given us some of the most iconic movies and movie moments and movie characters of all time. If this is the end of his career, even now, it's already, I mean, you know, I go to the sports analogies, but it's already been a Hall of Fame career. It's not like he needed to act for another 7 or 8, 9, 10 years to get his resume to the point that we could consider it a legitimate Hall of Fame career. Bruce Willis is a first ballot, first-year Hall of Famer. Period. End of sentence. Even if it was for nothing other than Die Hard. But he's kind of like Tom Brady in that way. Like, even if you took Tom Brady, take away the first 4 Super Bowls from Tom Brady's career, he still has a Hall of Fame career. I would propose to you that even if you take away Die Hard, Bruce Willis has had a Hall of Fame career. And I think without having had time to process or think about this, all I can say as a film fan is thank you, Bruce, for the years of entertainment and fun and imagination and joy that you have allowed fucking suckers like me just sitting on my couch to enjoy and experience viscerally through your performances and what you have given to us. So if this is the end of the road for his thing, and again, I feel terrible that we're unprepared for this because I'd love to do an actual look back at the career of Bruce Willis. But if this is the end of his acting career, just thank you, Bruce. Thank you for that. Rob, you're hearing about this at this point. What's your first reaction, the first thoughts that come to your head?
Well, it's nice though that if this problem is going to persist, that it was diagnosed to the point where he can leave gracefully and be with his family. But I think about the first time I like moonlighting, dude. Moonlighting. I mean, watching the banter he had with Sybil Shepherd, the will they, won't they? You know, he was so good in that. He would even pop up in like an episode of Miami Vice, you know, and then of course Die Hard came out in the summer of '88, and I remember when Die Hard was first coming out, John, people made fun of it. You know, like, oh, Bruce Willis is going to be in this, you know, the ad was this movie will blow you through the back of the theater. And I saw the film. It was they used to do this more often than now, but they showed the movie publicly in theaters as like a preview before it officially opened. Like, I think it was a week before it officially opened. And I went with a friend of mine and we were kind of like poo-pooing it, you know, making fun of it. Like, oh, we'll go see this because there's nothing, whatever. That lasted about 10 minutes into the movie. And if people don't remember, but the credits for the opening of Die Hard run like through the first 15 minutes of the film, and you knew it was different. And by the end of that movie, I mean, Bruce Willis, it's like, this guy kicks ass. I mean, we already knew he was funny, but to see him as this scrappy action hero, and then I have to tell you, he worked with so many interesting people. He worked with directors like Alan Rudolph, and he worked with Brian De Palma. And I love what he did with Luc Besson in The Fifth Element. I love Corbin Dallas. I always was bummed out they didn't make another Corbin Dallas movie. But I'm a huge fan of Bruce Willis, and, you know, Unbreakable. I'll always look back fondly at his career.
You know, it's funny, too, because we're obviously, look, and totally understandable, when people think of Bruce Willis, they're going to think of Die Hard. Of course, maybe the greatest action franchise ever, right? But I wasn't kidding when you look at his other things. You mentioned Unbreakable, which, I mean, was a superhero movie before its time, right? Before the superhero genre. Pulp Fiction, Fifth Element, Sixth Sense, Sin City. I mean, this guy was able to like move in and out of different types of movies all the time and always deliver a memorable character. Chris, when you hear about this, about the idea about Bruce Willis now stepping away from acting and moving on to the next phase of his life beyond that, regardless of the issues that are forcing him to do so, what are the things that come to your mind?
Man, I always tell people that they should watch his screen test for moonlighting because it is you're watching a star being born, and you can see it too against the other gentleman who is up, and he does a great job. He just does such a different job with it, which is one of the great things about acting, right? There's not a wrong way to do it. There's just a stronger way to do it usually. And Bruce Willis is just pure charisma. He doesn't give a shit. He's just doing what he wants in this scene, and it pays off, and it's so, so great. I'm so glad you brought up Sin City, because I remember that just kind of being this rebirth moment for me of being like, yeah, Bruce Willis can kick so much ass in films. He can really, really deliver. And all that gritty noir narration that he was doing in that was so wonderful. And I don't care what anyone says, even the people involved in that film. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I watch it every year. My friend Tiffany loves it. It's a tradition.
By the way, I forgot to mention films like Looper, 12 Monkeys, one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies of all time, Armageddon. I love Armageddon.
Well, and if you,
That's what I was
Elements?
actually going to talk about is before everybody wanted Liam Neeson to be their dad in Taken, who didn't want Bruce Willis to
Yeah.
be their dad from Armageddon? I mean, the man is willing to walk into a meteor exploding moon. I mean, come on. Like, I wanted to be Liv Tyler, to make out with Ben Affleck, but also to have Bruce Willis as my dad. You know, he was awesome in that. And I love that his first credit was in 1984, decades ago, in something called The First Deadly Sin as man entering diner as Delaney leaves.
As man entering diner.
So, and then, his first guest star was in Miami Vice.
Yeah.
He did The Twilight Zone. I mean, also, he was, in addition to being a badass action star and being a hilarious comedy star, he was also like the coolest of the cool of the cool. And whether it was in Pulp Fiction, which he was just so cool in, or in Friends, where he was just the coolest guy. And like, he just comes in and everybody's like, you're just the coolest guy ever.
By the way, I'm so glad you said comedy because it reminded me, there's a comedy in probably, maybe not my top 10, but probably my top 20 favorite comedies. And it's one that he did with the late, great Michael Clark Duncan. It was called, and the one star from Friends, Matthew.
Oh, The Whole Nine Yards.
The Whole Nine Yards.
Yeah.
The sequel,
watching
not
that
so
the other
much.
night.
The sequel, not so much. I love The Whole Nine Yards. Like Michael Clark Duncan says the immortal words, "There's nothing finer than a fine naked woman with a gun." Like, Michael Clark Duncan. But I love that movie. That is so fun.
well,
But-
he had such a great run, like you pointed out. 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
Working with Terry Gilliam. I mean, he had such a great run in the 90s working with all these diverse directors on all kinds of different films that really showed his versatility as an actor. I mean, Pulp Fiction, it's hard to believe, is 28 years old this year.
Wow.
But man, he had a great run of films, a really respectable body of work that any actor would be proud of.
One of the things that's always so fascinating to me, especially about performers, because, performers and anyone who's in the public eye, it's always about, well, what have you done for me lately? So what, you have an Academy Award. Yeah, you did that 10 years ago. Nobody cares anymore. I think that there is a value to just saying, but you did it. But you did it not just once, not just twice, but over spanning decades. Still managed to have, a family, still managed to have, like the guy has really already at this point in his life lived the kind of life that so many people would envy 4, 5, 6 times over. And, hopefully this is just another chapter in the Bruce Willis tale that, he is able to tell us about himself one day.
Guys, question is for you. Here in the news that Bruce Willis, due to health issues, is stepping away from acting. What are your thoughts? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of the incredible career of Bruce Willis? Obviously, all of our best thoughts and wishes go to him and his family as well. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do a third off the top here. And that is this. There's a pretty significant movie on its way out. Of course, it's the next chapter in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. It's Fantastic Beasts, the third one, and The Secrets of Dumbledore. Now, the second film was not received so well. The Crimes of Grindelwald. I am not the biggest Potterhead. I actually quite enjoyed the second film. I thought everybody was great, including Johnny Depp. I thought he was terrific in the film. But now we've moved on to the third film. They obviously went through a big casting change. Johnny Depp out, and man, if you're going to take him out, you can't do much better than bringing in Mads Mikkelsen. I think the trailers for this have looked really good. I've been quite enthusiastic to go see it. I'm actually going to go see this movie in a couple of days. And I'm excited for it. I know Anne's excited for it. And we'll see how it turns out. Jude Law looks great as a young old Dumbledore. Well, there have been some screenings for it already. And the first reactions to it are coming out. And they're pretty much really good. Let's go over and take a look. This comes to us from Digital Spy, who just highlighted a number of people who saw it. Now, the most lukewarm one comes from Ian Sandwell, who writes, improvements, Fantastic Beasts: Secret of Dumbledore is an improvement on the sequel, even if only fleetingly recaptures the magic. Mads Mikkelsen is a huge upgrade, but the MVP is Jessica Williams' Lally? I don't know how to pronounce it right. Anyway, it's just overstuffed and unsure if it's a Beast film or a Harry Potter film. Then we hear from Xander Harbert, who writes, Secrets of Dumbledore is a magical menagerie of homages to the Potter films, boasting a new slate of wondrous creatures and mythos. Fantastic Beasts 3 rectifies the fans' biggest qualms with Fantastic Beasts 2, offering answers, groundbreaking moments, and epic battles in this love letter to misfits. I like that description, a love letter to misfits. Dave Lee, a guy I know, writes, The Secrets of Dumbledore is exciting and enjoyable Wizarding World adventure. Thankfully, leagues above the previous. It's probably the best Fantastic Beast so far. Great character work, fun adventure, and amazing duels. Fans should really enjoy this one. Griffin writes, Steve Kloves miraculously salvages a sinking ship with Fantastic Beasts 3, but it doesn't fully fix the larger issues with the series. Still, by far the best of the three. The series feels fun again. The layers of Dumbledore are peeled back and explored in interesting ways, and we had a good time. Then, obviously, somebody we know very well, Perry Nemiroff, writes, Secrets of Dumbledore is a big bounce back for the Fantastic Beasts series for me. Back to enjoying a group of dynamic and back to enjoying the group dynamic and caring about the main mission. A little thin here and there, but a far more engaging ride than the last. Dan Fogler continues to be a favorite, and the Niffler. So the reactions coming in are actually quite good. I mean, it kind of feels refreshing to talk about positive reactions again after we've been talking about the reactions coming out for Morbius lately. Or the lukewarm ones we've been seeing coming out of Sonic. It's kind of cool to hear about this. Now, look, I have been looking forward to this one, Rob. You know, I've been kind of excited. I think the trailers for marketing have been great. I love the addition of Mads Mikkelsen, even though I thought Depp was very good in the role. I'm very encouraged to hear these. What do you think about the reactions we're hearing, and where's your expectation level right now?
Well, you know, I think it was the second trailer that came out. We talked about it on the show. I really liked it. You know, I thought it was really engaging, and it looks like it delivers the kind of I like what Misfits a
celebration of love letter to Misfits.
A love letter to Misfits. A misfit team that comes together to accomplish a task, a goal, a mission. You had me at hello. I love stories like that. And you could tell and Fogler looks like he's great in this. Fogler's also playing Coppola in The Offer, is he not?
Yes, he is.
He is.
I can't wait because I love Dan Fogler, and I think that it's going to be the movie looks great to me, and I wish somebody gave me a wand. You know, why can't I have that? Can't somebody give it to me?
Well, you go to
you
Universal
can.
and get them. I have one.
But it doesn't work like it does in the movie.
It does when you go to certain sections of the park, Rob.
That's right. If you go to Harry Potter World and use your wand in certain spots, magical things happen.
Dude, we'll go get some fire whiskey. We'll get some wands.
I mean, it's even look. I'm not Potter. Even I gotta say, it's a pretty good time going there. And she always goes to the things and uses the wand.
Fun.
And
Tom and I got invited to we did a thing about breast cancer on Extra, and their holiday party, they had rented out the entire Harry Potter world. And so
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you can imagine, there were maybe like 100 people, 150 people at the entire party, and 2 of them were me and Tom. And we got on, and so you could ride the rides as many times as you wanted. So we would literally get on the ride, we'd ride it, Tom would go, spiders, I would cover my eyes, and then we would get off the ride, and before our little train had even gone back again, we would just get in another car. We would ride it again. It was amazing. I did find out that butterbeer, though, not beer.
it's not actual beer.
It's
No.
basically cream soda.
I drank that whole thing, got so sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
and wasn't even buzzed.
a
I
lot
was
shuggy.
really, really annoyed.
Well, let me ask you though, what do you think about the reactions we're hearing from it? Where have your expectations been for this thing, and where are they now? Are you looking forward to this?
My expectations have been in the toilet because I'm not a Potterhead. I just really enjoyed the thing.
Harry Potter World.
I do think, though, I did read, honestly, so long ago, one of the first Harry Potter books when it first came out. I never really got into the movies. Not that I didn't like them. I just it wasn't my thing that I was looking for. However, now that I've got a little one, and I feel like Harry Potter world is going to be a thing that is
It's coming.
It is
Oh, yeah.
ubiquitous to our culture, especially, and I want to raise a little reader. So I feel like in the next decade, my life is going to be all pottered out. So I probably should get caught up.
Chris, what about you? Where has your expectation been for this? What do you think about the reactions we're hearing, and what are your feelings on it now?
I was one of those little Potter kids because the books came out when I was the age as Harry. And so I get in trouble for, putting my sheets over my head and having a flashlight and reading the book and staying up too late reading all of them in one night. I will say my expectations for this have been a little just because of some other issues involving this film, some of which we're going to get to later on in this show.
I don't know what on earth you
I
could
know,
be
what could I
talking
be
about.
alluding to? Stay tuned. But that said, I got to see the second film at Universal with the cast and a whole bunch of other folks, which was really, really fun.
Wow.
And while the second one did have a little less of the charm of the first one, I also didn't think it was, as egregious as other people made it out to be. This one does look great. We love Daddy Dumbledore. Yes, Jude, get it. And I really, really... Hey, look at him, y'all. Look at him. I love Dan Fogler, and I'm so happy Jessica Williams is having this moment where she is the standout here. I loved her on Daily Show.
Yes.
Two Dope Queens.
Love
was
her.
Such a good podcast, turned special. I'm so excited to see what she brings to the table in this film because we got a little bit of her last time. I want to see more of her. And I feel like a lot of the early trailers we were getting to, we weren't seeing many fantastical beasts. And we didn't know where to find them. Where were they? And now the latest ones have shown us more of that. And that's what I want to see here, too. I want to see that Niffler. I want to see all these different creatures coming in. I'm so excited that we've got the Phoenix coming to see Dumbledore Fox. That's going to be wonderful. So I'm hoping that this is a visual feast that gets back to its roots about being that group of misfits banding together.
All right, guys. Question is for you. The early reactions for Fantastic Beasts 3 are sounding pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm excited to see it. Question is for you. What do you guys think about this? Where's your expectation levels right now? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Coinbase. Have you found yourself curious about getting involved in cryptocurrency, but if you're like a couple of friends of mine who have been really interested in it, they felt kind of overwhelmed by it, like not even knowing how to get started? Well, that's where Coinbase comes in because they make learning to buy and sell crypto simple. Coinbase offers a trusted and easy to use platform to buy, sell, and spend cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone. They offer portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto all in one place. And that's why millions of people all over the world in 100 different countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. So whether you're looking to diversify, just getting started, or searching for a better way to access crypto markets, start today with Coinbase. And for a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/Campea. Sign up at coinbase.com/Campea for $10 in free Bitcoin. This offer is for a limited time only, so be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/Campea. And thank you to the good folks at Coinbase for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Make sure you use that Campea promo code, get that $10 in free Bitcoin, and thank you again to them for sponsoring the show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into our main topics today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here in the show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes from Edgar G. I think it's safe to say many of us grew up on the Muppets in one form or another, either with The Muppet Show, Sesame Street, Muppet Babies, or whatever. I just read online that Ron Howard is going to be doing a feature documentary on Jim Henson with Disney behind it. I've always wanted to know more about Henson, so I think this is great news. What do you think, and would you watch a Jim Henson documentary?
There are few creative celebrities in this world that I am more fascinated by than Jim Henson. Yeah, I've often said I'm not usually big on celebrity biopics, musicians or whatever, but people have always asked me if there was one biopic that you would watch. I've always said the same thing: Jim Henson. Jim Henson. I would love to see one on Jim Henson. A documentary is not what I had in mind, but a documentary by Ron Howard
Yeah.
about the life of Jim Henson? Are you kidding me? Listen, when I first moved to Hollywood, when I first moved to LA, I moved into an apartment in Hollywood right on Sunset. It was called the Poinsettia Apartments. And it was right across the street. If you guys remember the opening to Entourage, the whole opening of Entourage, they'd be driving down Sunset Boulevard. And one of the big things they featured as they were driving down Sunset Boulevard is the Seventh Veil Strip Club.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
right across the street from my apartment.
By Bossa Nova.
Yeah, it's right beside Bossa Nova. That's right.
You've arrived.
Your apartment complex might be where I met my husband.
Really? Right
Yes.
beside the Ralphs?
Yes.
The rock and roll Ralph.
Logan, let me know if I'm correct in that because it was on Poinsettia.
Poinsettia
Were you
apartment.
dancing in
so
the seventh
weird.
That
veil?
was where.
No.
But literally, like in
I'm
my
not that
apartment,
type of girl.
which was across the street from it, the way my friend described it is like at night, like if I didn't have the blinds closed, with the blind closed, it was fine. But at night, if I didn't have the blinds closed, you could see the flashing neon lights of the Seventh Veil, in which my friend says, calling like an unto a circus to children. But all that being said, but right up this road from where I lived was the Jim Henson Company.
On La Brea.
Yeah.
Right on La Brea, this gorgeous, beautiful building there. And I've always been fascinated with him. And oh my God, responsible for one of my all-time favorite films, The Dark Crystal. I mean, I have joygasms thinking about The
yeah.
Dark Crystal. I love that. Damn you, Netflix, for canceling
I hate your
show
wimpa.
after season.
Good.
I hate your wimpa. Everything about that movie is so great. Anyway, I gotta tell you guys, I love this idea. They are going to be working with Disney. So you guys, so I'm expecting this will probably be a Disney Plus original that they'll probably drop on that, although they haven't announced what their specific plans are for it at the moment. But right now, to me, this sounds great. Aaron, you hear about them wanting to do that. Ron Howard is going to be directing a Jim Henson biopic. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine anything being more American, not even American, but just more saccharine sweet apple pie Hollywood culture than Ron Howard, like everybody's favorite Opie, directing this documentary. And I actually am excited that it's a documentary because I think that what we're going to see is a lot of private footage. They've said that they have some, footage from him and his family and a lot of behind the scenes things. And I really want to know about the man himself. I want to know what his inspirations were, how he came up with all these things, the team that he built around him to build the entire company. I do think that from this documentary, there will be a narrative one day. But my only issue about trying to learn about a person through a narrative story is that there's so much interpretation and creative license that has to, take place in order to tell a full story. Whereas with a documentary, you're being given that person and their experience. And I love the fact that this is being done with full cooperation from Jim Henson's family. That shows to me that this is going to be a portrayal that really gets in deep and that they're going to have access to things that they wouldn't have if they were doing it otherwise.
Right.
For me, my all-time is the original Muppet Show. We're here to dim the lights.
It's time to put on makeup.
Yes.
It's time to light the lights. It's time to
used to
get
be-
started on the Muppet Show tonight.
It used to be like my hero used to be Miss Piggy, and to a certain degree she still is. But now that I'm like an old crabby bitch, I kind of like those two like crabby Muppets that just complain about everything.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yes, exactly. I feel like like Rob and I could have our own show like that. Not saying that Rob is a crabby bitch, but you're kind of a crabby bitch.
I think it would be a
the
lot,
best way
especially when it
possible.
comes to Star Trek.
Yeah, it's getting talking about Star Trek.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally turn this down the Waldorf.
But I would
Yeah.
love to sit in a balcony with you and opine on things.
And just complain and
yeah,
just like, you know, tell everybody what we think about them.
it'd be great.
No, and I
Let's do
also,
that.
I was also a big fan of the cartoon Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Muppet
like they're already
Babies.
so cute and then they're just in smushy size. I was a big fan, and I still to this day tell my mom how them not having access to HBO, so I did not get to see Fraggle Rock as a child, has scarred me for life.
Cast your fears away. Worries for another day. Let the music play.
And who doesn't
Down
start
around the rock.
crying immediately when you hear Kermit sing?
Rainbow Connection.
Yeah, but that's from the movie. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it's from.
Just the opening. Listen, I would put forward that the opening banjo notes of Rainbow Connection
I have to look it
are
up.
nearly as iconic as the opening notes to Stairway to Heaven. Because the moment you hear that dun 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 dun, you know immediately what it is. You get flooded with those emotions. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. What do you think about the idea of a Jim Henson documentary by Ron Howard?
I love this so much. Jim Henson and Mr. Rogers are my two big guys who made me want to be in like film and television. And then Madeline Kahn was the last piece of that puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
And
I could see that.
right,
Yeah,
well, because
yeah.
Jim and Rogers both came from this as this is an act of service. And that's what the entertainment industry should be, and that's what actors should be. They're servants of stories,
I get it.
and you have a certain kind of service to public people, and their takes on education and how certain things should be accessible to all. It just made me really, really want to perform. I love him as a human being. I think he's such a fascinating individual. His work is incredible. I am a diehard Muppets fan. I know every word to Muppet Christmas Carol. Logan just watches me watch it. And every time, too, I'm like, that's just us, because I'm Rizzo and he's Gonzo. Like, I love the Muppets so much. Anything that is made about them, I'm going to consume. And this team, with the family's blessing behind it too, you know this is going to be a very, very good documentary.
And they're going to have great access to a lot of stuff on this as well. By the way, I just want to give you a little bit more information on this. This comes to us from Deadline, who writes, Oscar winners Ron Howard and Brian Grazer are teaming up with Disney Original Documentary for what is promised as the definitive portrait of Jim Henson, the legendary creator of the Muppets. The nonfiction project from Howard and Grazer's Imagined Documentaries is being produced with the full participation and cooperation of the Henson family, according to a release, and will present a fascinating and intimate look at Jim's illustrious career creating treasured characters and revolutionizing television and film. With never-before-seen personal archives, the film will give audiences an exciting first-person view into the life of one of the world's most inspiring and iconoclastic creators through exclusive home movies, photographs, sketches, and Henson's own personal diaries. Rob, one of the exciting things about this too is the fact that they're going to have such amazing access with the family working with them. What are your thoughts on this whole project?
Well, when I first started working in the business, my first regular job was I worked at Warner Brothers in the executive end. And one of the very first people I met was Lisa Henson, his daughter. And she was a senior vice president at Warner Brothers, one of the most impressive people I had met. And every night at the end of work, I would hang out in her office with her. And she was kind of like a mentor. I had a crush on her. She was very intelligent, really a nice person. And I never got to meet her dad, but if she was any indication, she inspired me and gave a 22-year-old guy new to the business a lot of time, and she really inspired me to continue to move forward into my career. And if she's any indication of the kind of man Jim Henson was, a very impressive man indeed. Obviously, I grew up loving his work. By the way, my favorite Muppet, call him a Muppet if you want, was Mr. Snuffleupagus. You know, because people never believed he existed, except Big Bird. You know, to me, he would show up and be just awesome that he existed, and then he would disappear, and people were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I love Mr. Snuffleupagus, but yeah, I can't wait to see this. And you know, Jim Henson did a series called The Storyteller. Did you guys ever see The Storyteller?
I'm not familiar with that.
I know of The Storyteller.
You don't love it?
I said I know of.
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful. As a matter of fact, my friend Taylor White gave me a laser disc, and I gave a Japanese laser disc because it hadn't come out domestically, and I gave it to Lisa to have her dad sign it for him, and she did.
Oh, I love that.
That's so
Amazing.
great.
my
Question is for you guys. What do you think about that? I'm not going to lie. This is a project I've been waiting for a long time because we did grow up on his stuff, including and listen, there wouldn't have been any Yoda if there wasn't Jim Henson. It had Jim Henson up and around,
Right.
who of course worked with Frank Oz, and then it's just amazing the impact he's had on so many people and careers. What do you guys think about this? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Topic 2 comes from Michael Johnson. Happy Wednesday, Campea crew. Nearly 20 years after delivering her Razzie-nominated turn in the multi-Razzie-winning Catwoman, Sharon Stone might be making a return to the comic book genre. She's in talks to join the DC movie Blue Beetle to play the role of Victoria Cord. What are your thoughts on her possibly joining this film?
This has been a really interesting project that they've been bringing together because you guys remember when they first announced that they would be doing the DC character Blue Beetle's movie. It was originally announced that it was going to be for HBO Max, much like the Batwoman or Batgirl, the Batgirl movie that's coming out. Then a little while ago, they did an about face and they said, you know what? No, we really believe in this thing. We're going to put this thing theatrical. This is going to be a theatrical movie. Then they went and they got themselves, I never know how to pronounce his first name. The kid from
Cobra Kai.
What's that?
Isn't the kid from Cobra Kai playing
From
him?
Cobra Kai
Yeah.
and Ziel. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I never have. Because it's one of those names I've read a million times, but I've never actually said it out or heard it spoken out loud. That he's going to be on it. And now a very interesting little piece of information here. Sharon Stone, who I know Rob has a hot toy figure of Sharon Stone, or at least
A quarter scale statue
a quarter scale
Oh, wow.
from
statue
Basic Instinct. I
of
mean,
Basic Instinct of Sharon Stone.
It's Grace Kelly in Rear Window and Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct are the my two fantasy. If I could marry a movie character,
So
I'd want to marry one of those two girls.
it
Women.
sounds like out of nowhere comes her name that she's going to be the villain in Blue Beetle. Now, this comes to us from Joe Blow. Write the following. According to the Wrap, Sharon Stone is in final talks to play the villain in the upcoming Blue Beetle movie. Stone will play Victoria Cord. So if that name is ringing a bell to some of you, at least the last name it should,
Yep.
who is said to be a new character created for the movie. It was also announced that Raul Max Trulio from Mayans MC, I love his character in Mayans, will be playing Carapax in Carapax the Indestructible Man. In DC Comics, Jaime Reyes, I should say, becomes the third person to take on the mantle of the Blue Beetle after Dan Garrett and Ted Cord, notice the last name of Sharon Stone's villain, when he discovers the Blue Beetle scarab that morphs into a battlesuit, allowing him to fight crime and even travel through space. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. First of all, there's two interesting things here. One, Sharon Stone being in this DC movie, which is great to me. But secondly, the fact that her last name is Cord and that she's the villain of the film. Now, a lot of people, when they first announced that they're doing a Blue Beetle movie, they actually thought Ted Cord was going to be the Blue Beetle. Because there have been several of them. Ted Cord's kind of been the one that's been the longest tenured Blue Beetle.
And has the relationship with Booster Gold.
Right, and as the one who has the relationship with Booster Gold. So a lot of people thought that. So it'll be I wonder, and Rob, I'm going way out of limb with nothing to stand on here.
That's okay. We do that all the time.
I wonder if the storyline here isn't becoming revealed to us here. I wonder if Ted Cord was Blue Beetle, betrayed by his sister, mother, whatever, Victoria Cord, played by Sharon Stone, and the scarab went to Jaime. I mean, I just wonder if that's being revealed to us now.
Could be. I mean,
I think it sounds interesting. What do you think about this? 'Cause I know you are a Blue Beetle fan. I know you are a Sharon Stone fan. How does this news strike you? What stands out to you the most?
well, I mean, look, I'm a huge fan of Sharon Stone, and I'd like to see a Stone-assance happen because after Basic Instinct, she did Casino that she got an Academy Award nomination for, which I thought she was terrific in. I think, this could very well be something along those lines. It sounds like that's kind of where they're going with it, but I love the fact that they're doing a Blue Beetle movie. I think it's really interesting. It looks great. They've shown some production art. Our friend Philip Boutet, who I did an interview with for the Designing Hollywood podcast that's on this channel, John.
He's working on this right now.
He's working on it right now, and he's really enthusiastic about it. He couldn't really say anything, but I think this project is shaping up to be quite good. I can't wait to see it. I'm glad that it's going to be a theatrical release.
Chris, you hear about this. Number one, the person who wrote in brings up a good point. This will be her second spin at playing a villain in a DC movie. First one didn't go so well. One of the 3 worst films maybe ever made in Hollywood history. But what do you think about Sharon Stone? What do you think about the fact that she comes from the Cord family?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the movie overall in general right now?
Well, I love me some Sharon Stone. I think she's wonderful. I'm so happy to be seeing her doing more stuff. She was on that delightful Will Arnett improv show on Netflix, where the guest star.
Oh, the murder mystery one
Yeah.
where the cop, where they improv the whole thing?
Yeah,
That's crazy, that
she's
show.
hysterical on it. It's so fun because he keeps trying to talk about how she shouldn't fall in love with him, and she's like, "Yeah, no problem, no problem." It's so good. So I'm so happy to see her doing more and more stuff. I've always loved her. The Cord last name is fascinating because we, of course, have Cord Omniversal. So is she going to be a power-hungry executive who wants the Scarab and its technology for herself? Is there a direct correlation to Ted? You know, there's a lot you can unpack there, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm hoping it's a bunch of family drama that we're going to see mixed in here. I think that'd be really fun.
By the way, I've only seen about 2 episodes of Murderville. One of the ones that I watched was the one with Marshawn Lynch.
He's amazing.
So funny.
God,
So
was so funny. That
I
was
love
so-
Marshawn Lynch. I love has been talking about Marshawn Lynch for so long and has been showing me clips of him in interviews since before he was doing any acting, and also just tells me stuff that he hears about him. And I'm like, you know what? There's not a lot of like professional football players that I would want to actually just be friends with and hang out with. I would love to be buddies with Marshawn Lynch because he just seems like someone who is so awesome and he's so funny. And he also is a very smart business person.
Yep.
From what he did with his NFL money and said, you know what, I would like to retire at a time when, and when everybody would be going out and ordering like steaks and the most expensive bottles, he'd be like, cheeseburger, you know, like he kept his money. He made strong
But
decisions.
let's talk about Sharon Stone.
Oh, right,
and Blue
sorry.
Beetle.
Sorry. I forgot what we were talking about. I love Marshawn Lynch. I want to be your friend.
As a former Seahawk, he's one of the greatest.
Yes. I am so excited about this. I love Sharon Stone. I would also love a Stone-assance. I think that's a fantastic term, and I think we should absolutely use that as much as possible. She's a brilliant actress.
Basic Instinct 3. She can do it.
Oh,
She can do it. Come on.
Basic Instinct 3, if she is executive producer and has full approval over every single shot in that film, I still think it was so. If you don't know the story behind the famous Flash in Basic Instinct, it's a really messed up story that today she could sue the bejesus out of everybody involved, and it's just another one of those horrible stories of what has happened to women in Hollywood, and also her treatment on the set of Casino, also horror story. And so this is a woman who has persevered. If you don't know the stories I'm talking about, go look it up. They're really interesting. She has persevered. I loved her in Ratchet. If you saw the series Ratchet that she did, she was really fantastic. She also was in The Disaster Artist. And I remember when my agent called me and said, so you're being offered, this role in The Disaster Artist. This is what it pays. But if it makes you feel any better, Sharon Stone is getting paid the exact same amount of money. And I was like, well, if Sharon Stone takes the deal, I'll take the deal. Who am I? So yeah, I think she's a phenomenal actress. And also I was kind of doing a little bit of a reconnaissance on her representation situation. And in 2017, she signed with one group of representation, and she's no longer with them. She's with someone different. So Artists International Group, her managers currently, clearly you are responsible for the Stone-assance we are about to see, and I humbly thank you.
All right, guys. Question is for you. It looks like we're going to get like Hollywood icon Sharon Stone as the villain in Blue Beetle. What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that her character's last name is Cord? Are you looking forward to this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comments section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? Chris, what is our third main topic today?
It's from Raza Hyder. Hey, John and crew. Yesterday, a Reddit user noticed some interesting edits that were made to episode 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. One scene where Bucky throws a metal bar at a woman and it goes through her shoulder now shows the bar bouncing off of her. The other change, when Zemo shoots the scientist, the scene originally showed him with his eyes open and blood all around him. Now there's no blood and his eyes are closed. Why do you think these edits were made a year after the show premiered? And could other series be edited as well?
All right, this is kind of interesting. Thanks a lot for writing that in, Raza. So, yeah, look, we have heard in the dawning of the streaming age, there have been a couple of times when stories have come out about small edits that have been made to movies for insert reasons.
Splash.
One of the big ones was Splash, right? Where there's a scene in Splash where we understand to be naked Daryl Hannah turns around and runs into the water, and we get a little bit of butt crack in the shot. However, in the streaming version of it, I can't remember, was it Disney Plus? The streamer?
Yeah.
Disney Plus decided in that moment, in that shot, to digitally make her hair longer to cover the butt crack.
And it looks god-awful.
It did nothing to the movie. It did nothing to change anything about the movie. You just didn't get to see Daryl Hannah's ass. It made no difference to the film whatsoever. However, it did introduce the notion that streamers, or, well, let's face it, George Lucas introduced the idea that you can go in and change movies anytime you want back when he did Star Wars special editions. But in the streaming world, it kind of set off the flare in the air that the streamers can make minor changes if they want to. It was hilarious to me to see how many people made a bigger deal out of that particular issue with Daryl Hannah. But that being said, we have seen this happen a couple of times, and now we have a situation where they've gone back. I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier is their show. I mean, they made it. It is whatever they want it to be. But they have gone in, apparently, and made a couple of very minor changes, but changes nonetheless. One of the things he mentioned in there was the shot that there's at the top, the original shot that we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And now if you go in and watch Falcon and Winter Soldier today in that same episode, you see this.
Oh, he's sleeping.
Again, yeah, nappy time. Again, nothing about the show, the story, the flow, the narrative, nothing has been impacted or affected. It's just that we don't see blood coming out of his mouth. The question is, why make that change? The only thing I can personally come up with is with them bringing over the Netflix Marvel stuff, the R-rated stuff, the Daredevil, the Jessica Jones and whatnot, that maybe they want to make sure there's a more distinct difference between what we have on the main Disney Plus and what's behind the parental controls on Disney Plus. I mean, I have no other explanation for that, to be honest with you. For me personally, as long as the changes that get made are these, quite frankly, inconsequential changes, I'm okay with it. It's the material changes that start to worry me. Let's go back again to the Star Wars Special Edition. The changing of the awesome Ewok song, the Yub Nub song, that's a material change. The change of Han encountering Jabba the Hutt, the dock of that was a material change that was an entirely new scene. I mean, it was one that George originally shot, but still, it was an entirely new scene. That's where I start to get a little bit concerned. At any rate, this comes to us from the folks over at CBR. Write the following. Reddit user Moon in Mulan writes, first reported the two changes that Disney Plus made to the show, which both appear in the third episode, Power Broker. The first edit is visible in a shot of Hydra scientist Wilfred Nagel, which we just watched, his dead body, which is no longer splattered with blood. Nagel's eyes are also closed, and the blood has been removed from his mouth. The second edit comes later in episode 3 when Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and Sharon Carter go up against a band of bounty hunters. Bucky originally pinned one of the combatants to a shipping container by hurling a pipe through her shoulder, but now the pipe glances off her chest. This, unfortunately, causes a continuity error because as Bucky's opponent is later shown pinned against the container. But, you know, whatever, what have you. So, I'll be honest with you. These are such inconsequential and minor changes. I don't know why they did it. I don't know what the point is. And quite frankly, if I had gone back and watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier again, which I have no plans on doing because I didn't think it was that great, but I probably wouldn't even notice that there's a difference. Chris, you see them making these changes, these differences. Number one, why do you think they bothered doing it? And then number two, does it make you worry about a potential slippery slope situation where they make radical changes to it in the future. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Sure does make me worried. It changes who shot who first, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah, again, another Star Wars example. Yeah.
There's some issues that could happen. This is such a big for why for me. And someone in the chat suggested, what if this is just for the parental control version?
That's my kind
Yeah,
of
I saw
thought,
that.
right?
And that I think would make more sense, right? Of if your kid wants to watch it, sure, maybe we don't show the more bloody version of this. But if this is on the regular version of stuff, I don't understand the point of having something released and then going back and editing it and making it different from the, the Netflix Marvel shows. I feel like those already have a very different tone and vibe than these shows. Blood in or blood out, like either way, you know what those Netflix shows are when you see them.
Mm-hmm.
They're much darker and grittier. So I don't understand why they did this. And look, certain edits like the splash one, you can see a butt whenever you want. Go in your bathroom, take your trousers off, peek at yourself. Woo! All right, not a big deal. But stuff that does affect the continuity of a film, the narrative of a film, like you were saying, or a show, that is where I take issue with this, because you're messing with the original filmmaker's intent and their story. And like we talked about earlier, we're all in service of the story. What is this in service to? Couple angry moms? That's not good enough for me.
By the way, breaking news on The Wrap. George Lucas is releasing a special edition of the Oscars where Chris Rock slapped first. By the way, thank you to one of the people in our live chat who actually put that in. I thought that was hilarious when I saw that. Anyway, Aaron, you see a change like this being made? I mean, this is innocuous. There's nothing here. It doesn't really change anything. But is it important that we take note of it? Why do you think they did it? Could it lead to other editorial liberties maybe they take later? I don't know. How do you see it?
Well, let's also remember this is not the first time that these kinds of edits are made. I mean, just as an example, for those of you out there who don't know, I played a character named Sura on a television show called Spartacus Blood and Sand that was on Stars. And when it was on Stars, we also were called Spartacus Boobs and Blood because there was a lot of nudity. And there was a scene in which my character is being carted off by a Roman army, ripped away from her husband, and I'm reaching back, and the body parts formerly known as my breasts. They are no longer because I had breast cancer. So now I have new pretty ones. They are on full display as my character was being torn away. But when the show was then re-aired on other networks that did not have those same boobs and blood liberty, they digitally imposed a little piece of material over my breast. And so this is commonplace for when a show has been, or when you see something on an airplane, for example. We've all seen the audio dubbing of, "You mother farter," that kind of stuff. I think that what we're going to see, because there is a balance here, we have these shows that we really love for being part of the genre world that we are so enamored by, but also being a little bit more gritty and a little bit harder and a lot more blood. And then we also have the wider audience that should be served, a younger generation that we want to be able to grow up and have the same kind of passion and love for this genre. And I feel like there has to be a little bit of service to both in a way, which I think what we're getting to is having a version of this that is going to be with the parental controls on, and then having the version that's going to be maybe it becomes another pay subscription, like all Disney, because Disney, let's face it, is for family-friendly programming, regardless of what they have adopted, regardless of what they have been doing in the last 10 years or so. It started and has always been for the purpose of family-friendly programming. So Disney Plus may just say, hey, listen, we are family-friendly programming, and we are going to make certain edits so that families can watch our programming without any concerns at all. If you want to watch the more R-rated versions, the ones that have more graphic depictions, then you're going to have to pay an extra $2.99 to have access to the, after dark version of Disney. I'm not saying they should, because I know everybody's already like, oh my God, I don't spend too much money. I'm not saying
I'm just wrapping my head around what would the after dark version of Disney look like.
Well, it would basically have, someone being pinned with,
Sure.
so they would have more blood splatter. It would have more R-rated language. It would,
Ewoks gone wild.
yeah, exactly. Again, I'm not saying that's what they should do. I just think that we're edging to that because I do think it is a slippery slope when you just start saying, hey, yeah, I know that you really enjoyed watching it for this and you are an adult and you can handle, someone being impaled against a wall, but we want to make sure that a 5-year-old can watch this and not be scarred for life. So we're going to dumb down what you get to watch too. I think that is a slippery slope. And you know what? I am an adult and I want to be able to watch all the grit and the blood and all the graphic stuff. But I understand that as a company, they're family friendly first. And so there is a service that they have to do. I think that we're getting into a world where they're going to have to separate.
Here's the funny thing, though. This is the timing of this I find strange. Because we just talked on the show yesterday that Moon Knight, or the other day, Moon Knight has gotten a rating in most countries that's equivalent to TVMA here. So while Disney is putting that on Disney Plus, and we're going to talk about Moon Knight here in a second, they're taking out a couple of blood splatter scenes. I mean, that's, I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe this is like the director of the episode thought, I don't like the blood splatter there. And the Disney just said, okay, you're the director. We'll let you go in and change it. I mean, I just don't know. But again, it just seems weird to me that choice would be made for that while they're airing something that is TVMA for a lot of people. I don't know. Rob, you had a chance to take a look at this. What do you think about the situation? What do you think is motivating it?
Well, I think we've touched on what's motivating it. I think that those depictions of violence were probably, even though they're so minor, that was probably why it was taken out, because seeing someone impaled is probably against, well, we can show someone get punched or shot, but seeing someone impaled means it's R-rated. So
they already aired it.
I know. That's why I said it's all. Here's what I don't understand, and what scares me the most. As all of our art and all of our literature and all of our movies are being put online digitally, that means they can be altered in very subtle ways that we might not even know about. Mark Twain used these words back when he originally wrote Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Mm-hmm. And you know what? They're a little triggering now. And let's change it's not a big deal. Let's change the way he wrote. It was in the 1800s. It's a different time. That, to me, we're there, man. And we're there. And there are people that are like, yeah, you're right. We should change his work. And because we are infantilized and in the case of Splash, John, the one thing that bothered me about that was not necessarily that a body part was covered, but that Daryl Hannah's character is a mermaid. And so they make a point of when she's a fish, like when she's in the bathtub and you see she doesn't have body parts when she's a human. And when she runs away, there's a moment into the water and Tom Hanks is watching her. He's seeing her as a woman as opposed to a fish. And there was a moment there there was the reason why they chose to do that. And I think that when people after the fact are willy-nilly making these kinds of decisions, ultimately the decisions are not really, they're knee-jerk decisions, and they're not really thought about. And the long-term ramifications of this will just have our society gets chipped away. History, none of that matters anymore. We don't have to worry. We just need to make society the way we want it now. And I think ultimately it's a dangerous mindset. Now, that said, a corporation can do whatever they want because they own the product. And if they're a family company first, they can make those changes. Are those changes right to make? That is a philosophical question that I think that they shouldn't make those changes. But are we going to, as a society, is that going to be normalized? I think Disney has the right to do whatever the heck they want. Does that mean it's right? I don't think so.
Well, you know what, Robbie, what you're saying brings up an interesting point that we were talking about actually before the show, which is when we today in 2022 go back and watch certain things that were totally considered normal and fine and even 20 years ago, it is shocking what was accepted then and what is not accepted now. And part of it is re-watching something and going, oh my gosh, wow, like look at how much of a different world we're in. And there's certain things, I won't say what I was referring to before, but something that Tom and I were watching, I was watching and I was like, oh God, oh my God, why? Oh God, I can't believe he's saying that. But when I watched it for the first time, I think that part of it is I think of the world in a little bit of a different way, but yeah.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, honestly, I don't think I or most people would have ever even noticed that these changes were made, but changes were made. Why do you think they did it? Especially since they're putting out TVMA content right now. It's an interesting question. Why do you think it happened, guys? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Athletic Greens. Now, I started taking Athletic Greens because I don't eat enough vegetables, and I was looking for a way to make up for that deficit in my diet of those vitamins and minerals that I really needed in my system, and thank goodness I found Athletic Greens, and I literally take it every morning. You see, with one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, all the things. And my wife got onto it, and now she absolutely loves it. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, like Athletic Greens. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Campea. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Campea to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And a special thank to Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to the Robert Meyer Burnett portion of the show.
Yay!
And move on to main topic number 4. Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
Our 4th topic comes from Brad Brickley. Wow, Moon Knight blew me away. Enjoyed it better than the first WandaVision episode. If the rest of the show is up to this level, it'll be my new favorite MCU series. Isaac, Hawk, and the rest of the cast and crew were superb. What was everyone's thoughts on this new show? But what mostly was Rob's thought?
All right. Well, before we throw it over to Rob here, yesterday was game day, and last night, the first episode of Moon Knight. Now, just so you guys know, who are watching at home right now, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, we will be doing our Moon Knight open spoiler discussion. So if you guys want to come back and talk about Moon Knight and that episode and all of its spoilery goodness, come back and join us for that at 4 o'clock. Now, that said, this was a show that I was very interested in. I wasn't losing my mind for it like a lot of people, but as the ads started coming out, we started to see more clips, I started to get pretty excited. I mean, not as excited as I was for, say, Falcon and Winter Soldier when it first came out, although I didn't love Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I was so excited about that. Not as excited as I was for, like, say, Mandalorian or whatever, but I've been fascinated by it. So it was with great interest that last night I tuned in to watch the first episode of Moon Knight. My God, it's awesome. It is fantastic. And, we've got a tradition around here for game day. Ray comes over, we get some food. My buddy Ryan comes over, Ann's up, and we watch the first thing. And I got to tell you, it's been a beat since we watched an episode 1 of a new Disney Plus show, and we're really happy with it. Because I was not for Hawkeye episode 1. I was not for the Book of Boba Fett episode 1. It's been, I didn't totally love episode 1 of Loki. Oh, I liked it, it's been a little while since we stayed up to midnight and watched this new thing, and I was hooked from frame 1. Like, you got this guy getting out of bed who's got sand poured around his bed and his leg buckled up, and it's like, what's going on here? And they immediately, there's no wasted screen time in this. I mean, they dive right into the mystery aspects of it. You're trying to figure out what's happening. The cool stuff is happening, all that kind of stuff. And again, we're not going to go into any specifics because we'll save that for the spoiler discussion later. All I will say is this. I absolutely loved Oscar Isaac in this role. I loved Handsome Hawk in his role.
It was great.
Starting to get an idea about what's going on. And all I will say is the end sequence is so good. And it's one of those things that reminds me of Heroes, where the first episode ends and with the whole thing about, save the cheerleader, save the world. And you understand at the end of Heroes episode, where like the world's gone to hell and what caused it. This episode ends with me like, no, please don't end. Please don't end. And right on the edge of your seat. God, I love this thing. It's been a while. I don't know that I've loved an episode 1 of a Disney Plus show like this since WandaVision episode 1. I completely loved it. Rob, you've been waiting a long time for Moon Knight. And heading into it, while excited, you're also a little bit apprehensive because what we've been seeing in the promos is not any of the Moon Knight iterations you remember, but rather an amalgamation of them, something new. You were curious to see how it's going to turn out. You watched the first episode. I purposely didn't ask you about it when you came in this morning. What did you think about episode 1 of Moon Knight?
Okay. I had a very interesting experience watching this show because this iteration of Moon Knight that we got is very different from that first volume of Moon Knight comics that I had read, that I fell in love with the character with. We're talking all the way back to 1980, the Doug Mensch, Bill Sienkiewicz run for the first 30 issues of Moon Knight Volume 1. Very, very different. This takes a lot of things from later iterations of Moon Knight that really had nothing to do with the character that I had originally fallen in love with. That said, John, I love this. I thought it was something new and unique, and they drew from a number of different aspects of Moon Knight history, mostly the last 20 years, really. But it was so well done. It was so beautifully directed. The car chase scene, the truck chase on the mountain road was beautifully done. The location work was great. They're not on green screens. They shot this in Budapest, and Oscar Isaac was amazing. And the way they intercut the editorial work when they would intercut through scenes in periods of time, it was really beautifully done. I thought this was absolutely one of the most accomplished, along with WandaVision, which was also very well directed. This was from a cinematic standpoint, one of the most. This looks like a movie. It's one of the most accomplished.
I want to say something. 10 minutes into the show, Ray, who was sitting out there with us, said, this looks like a movie. It just, the way it was shot, also just the cinematography of it, the whatever frame rates or whatever, it felt more cinematic than any of the other previous shows. I thought it really did feel that way.
And you had 2 movie stars.
Yeah.
You had Ethan Hawke, who we've been watching all the way back to Explorers in the 80s, and watching Oscar Isaac. I mean, Oscar Isaac, my God, is he good in this. And the cosmology, John, and I don't want to say much, but the storyline with these warring gods, there's something really interesting going on here that's going to play into, I think, the greater cosmology of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and bringing in, I mean, they're flat out going supernatural with this, and I love it. I think it's incredible. And let me just talk about F. Murray Abraham as the voice of Khonshu. I mean, come on. It was, I'm not
gonna lie. At first, I thought it was J.K. Simmons. When I first heard the voice, I thought, is J.K. Simmons doing the voice in this?
Yeah.
So I was, while it was not at all the Moon Knight that was in the screenplay I wrote when I was in high school, not at all. I loved this is its own thing, and I love it. And I can't wait to get the hot toys. I can't wait to see where it goes. I really love this idea, what Ethan Hawke is trying to do, and the iconography of the scales.
Right, wait, do I not want to give too much away?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
See it yet.
It's very fascinating to me, and I am it might be, I mean, this first episode was by far my favorite first episode of any Marvel TV series, even more than WandaVision.
It was right up. By the way, I'm going to say, this will be so out of context that any of you who haven't seen the episode yet, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. But my favorite moment, I think, of the episode that told you everything so much about the character and the charm of it, whatever, is 2 words. Steak time. I laughed so hard and wanted to cry at the same time. Again, if you haven't seen the episode, you'll have no idea what we're talking about.
But I wanted
steak time.
Yeah, there's one other thing. You know, people talk about the dissociative identity disorder.
Yes.
That this show portrays how terrifying. I kept thinking about people that actually have it, and if this is anything like what it's really like to have dissociative identity disorder, I never want to have it, and I have a lot of sympathy for people that do, because that aspect of the show is absolutely terrifying to me.
Anyway, Chris, I'm going to assume you had a chance to watch it. I didn't bring it up before the show because I didn't want to hear anybody's thoughts before we did it. But if so, your thoughts and impressions of Moon Knight episode 1.
Man, this was so great. And you guys are right. It did look like a movie. And I think part of that is they were just very, very judicious in how they used CGI. Even just the way the camera focused on certain things, just you'd see something maybe in the background and go, ooh, what is that? It's the same way how Signs was great until you finally saw the alien, right? When it's just looming in the background, they're using shadow and they're using cameras to make things look really realistic and menacing. Oh, so good. Everyone in this is great. Ethan Hawke is wonderful. At one point, though, that first moment, too, Logan looks at me and goes, who's he think he is? Billy Bob Thornton and Sling Blade? What is this? I loved his character. I'm so intrigued to learn more about him and what he's after. Oscar Isaac is so great. That whole steak time scene, you become so ingratiated to this character, along with his relationship with Gus and other things like that.
Right.
I mean, it's so well done, and you're left wanting more. And those edits, like Rob talked about, oh my gosh, the final scene, y'all. Oh, it's so good. It's like a great version of Fight Club. An already great thing escalated. It's so good.
By the way, we've talked a little bit here about the last scene without any details. The very first scene, the first thing that happens on camera. I'll let you know this part. He drinks something, and then something happens, and we're sitting here watching, going, ah! Like we're like, no, what is he doing? Yeah. Like I don't think, like no other, I can't remember the last time a TV show got me as emotional response out of me from its very first shot and scene.
And without showing anyone's face or speaking.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, I was like, oh my God, what are they doing?
John, there was one thing, though, that I thought about after the first episode was over. I'm like, why isn't this a movie?
I agree.
I'm watching this going, they've shot this in Europe. You've got 2 movie stars. Sure, it's not going to cost $100 million, or maybe they did spend a lot of money, that kind of money on it. But I looked at this and I'm like, this is a movie. And I really would have paid big money to go see this in a theater. And, it wasn't, again, with those long credits, it still was only like 39 minutes or 38 minutes long. And it's only 6 episodes. And I'm like, I really wish this was a film.
It is, Rob. It's a 6-hour film.
Except not played as such. Well,
it felt like a movie, and that's what I really liked about it.
Did you and Tom, I know Tom is going to watch this for sure, but did you and Tom have a chance to watch it yet? And if so, what did you think?
Okay, admittedly, we did not watch it. Good reason. It is currently pilot season. I had a 10-page audition yesterday for an Apple TV show that I will tell you guys about after this.
Wow.
This is a big, cool one. And a 13-page sitcom audition. And Tom had an audition, and we had to do all of those yesterday. So, and finally went to bed at 1 a.m. So we are watching it as soon as I get home. But I just want to comment to something that you mentioned, Rob, as far as like the portrayal of it. In the chat, Jake and Shaw, I hope that I pronounced your name right, shared, as someone who has it, it is very terrifying. I think the show is being very respectful about it. First of all, Jake, and thank you for sharing that and for letting us know that the show is being respectful. And I think that that's one of the powerful things about entertainment, is that in addition to just telling a story, it can also hopefully elicit a little bit of compassion for people who are going through something and struggling with something that, for those of us who don't have it or don't understand it, are completely immune from, don't have any understanding to. So again, Jake, and thank you for sharing that. And I love the fact that this show is handling it with the respect that it deserves, and will hopefully elicit some compassion and a little bit more understanding from the rest of us.
Somebody in the live chat was saying, well, I'm glad it's not a movie because I'd rather a 6-hour Moon Knight thing. Well, this isn't going to be 6 hours. This is going to probably end up being about 3 hours and 35 minutes. Like after you take out their 17-minute credits. Because, man, my God, I've never seen TV shows have longer credits than these Marvel MCU
Well, because
shows.
There's a lot of people involved.
Yeah, they're shot like movies. I mean, and this one, WandaVision also was brilliantly made, brilliantly photographed. I mean, they all have been.
Was, yeah.
But there was the stylization of this. And I really thought, I mean, again, there's something about watching movie stars that have that kind of acting ability.
Right.
Oscar Isaac was so good. So good. And I'm like, wow, this is really something special because this performance, to me, Emmy all over it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to watch Moon Knight Episode 1? If so, what did you think? Don't forget, guys, once again, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, we will be doing our open spoiler discussion of Moon Knight Episode 1. Hope you guys will come back and join us. If you have seen it, what did you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 5. Chris, what is our 5th main topic today?
Topic number 5 today. From Reboot Flash. The day after the bar incident, Ezra Miller is having a restraining order filed against him. He was staying with a couple and apparently broke into their bedroom, stole their wallets, then threatened to kill them. WB has to boot him. This is unacceptable. I feel horrible for everyone else who worked on the Flash movie, but this is insane. Thoughts?
All right, thanks for writing that in, Reboot Flash. All right. So, unfortunately, yesterday on the John Campea Show, we had to talk about an incident involving Ezra Miller. That, once again, being in the news for all the wrong reasons. He was at some sort of a club establishment in Hawaii, where apparently he got drunk, did not enjoy the karaoke that a young woman was singing on stage, was yelling obscenities at her, and then physically ran up on stage and physically pulled the microphone out of her hand. Then when he was being criticized by a dude playing darts, Ezra Miller then went and lunged at this individual, continued to be berating, insulting, uttering threats. The bar staff tried to calm him down. He wouldn't calm down. Eventually they had to call the police and he got arrested. And if that all sounds familiar, it's because this has all happened before. A single incident has turned into a pattern of behavior. But apparently the story got much, much worse when the next day he did something even worse. Now, this is being relayed. We're getting this over from CBR, and this is coming from an actual police report. But here's the story. And apparently this all happened the day after he got arrested. An unnamed couple from Hilo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Hilo, Hawaii, recently filed a restraining order against the Flash star Ezra Miller after the actor allegedly threatened them and stole from them. And this is kind of disturbing. The couple has issued a petition for a temporary restraining order claiming that the actor who was staying with them threatened to kill them and stole from them. According to the court document, Miller allegedly burst into the couple's bedroom and is quoted as saying, "I will bury you and your slut wife." The order also states Ezra Miller is famous and wealthy. This makes access to weapons much easier, as well as sending associates to harass the couple. Along with a wallet, and the actor reportedly took social security cards, passport, driver's license, and bank cards. And at the time of the writing, these items have not been returned to the couple. And now, apparently, this couple met Ezra a week earlier. I think it was about a week earlier in Hawaii at some kind of market. Apparently, they hit it off and they offered him a place to stay. Why Ezra Miller needed a place to stay, little bit beyond me. But, Ann and I were talking about this. If we had bumped into Hugh Jackman at the farmer's market, and he said, "I'm just in town. I haven't got a hotel yet." And he said, "You mind if I crash with you?" We would have, of course, said, "Sure, Hugh Jackman, come on and stay with us." So that's apparently what happened. And then after the incident, after that, by the way, according to the story, this is the couple that bailed him out of jail. That Ezra was bailed out of jail by this couple. So there's that. Now, what's interesting in this court document is one of the things that's being called for here is they're asking for an order and injunction not to exceed a period of 3 years, enjoining respondents, that's of course Ezra, and any other persons acting on Ezra's behalf from committing those acts set forth in the paragraph. Also, what this is a petition for is an order prohibiting Ezra Miller from owning or possessing firearms and or ammunition. So if this gets granted, like, Ezra will not be allowed to possess, own firearms, ammunition of anything sort of thing like this, which obviously right now seems like a pretty good idea. We talked about this yesterday, but I think it bears repeating. Some people gave me shit a couple years ago for making such a big deal out of what Ezra Miller did in that first incident and the fact that Warner Brothers did nothing about it. And by nothing, I mean they adopted, the company policy was, shh, don't talk about it. Don't mention it. We're going to jingle some shiny keys of other superhero movie news in front of the audience, and the audience is so dumb, they'll be distracted. We won't ever have to deal with this. Shh. And I said that them taking that approach is going to have long-term consequences. Because what they told Ezra Miller and anybody else in Hollywood is that you are above the rules. If you are famous enough and you are talented enough, rules don't apply to you. You're good, and we'll cover you. We got your back. That's what they were saying. And Ezra Miller took that to heart because their behavior has not changed in the least. And if you're wondering, John, are you saying there's actually a direct connection between this new incident and the fact that Warner Brothers didn't do anything about it before? Fuck yes, I'm saying that. Because if Warner Brothers had laid down the law with Ezra Miller, made him make a public statement of apology, actually enforced some consequences on him, I don't think this would have been happening today. But that's neither here nor there. I said yesterday that when we look at Ezra, we are seeing that they no longer just have an incident. What we're seeing with Ezra is that they have a pattern of behavior. This is a pattern of behavior. And while we said about the Will Smith situation, and I still stand by this, that yes, Will Smith, there needs to be discipline and act. Yes, something has to be done, but we should never judge somebody by their worst moment. And that, you know, with Will Smith, this is not a pattern of behavior for Will Smith, blah, blah. Yeah, there needs to be some consequences, but it needs to be measured, and then we can all move forward and everything will be good. But with Ezra, they are exhibiting a pattern of behavior, an attitude and a pattern of behavior. He went into somebody's bedroom and threatened to murder them. To murder them.
After they bailed him out of jail.
After they bailed them out of jail. Threatened to murder them. And this is the night after threatening, being belligerent, going on stage and pulling something from a young woman's hand, lunging physically, which I don't know what Ezra thinks they're going to do. They're a 5 foot whatever, 110 pound soaking wet pipsqueak, but whatever. And for me personally, it's, as a fan, it's especially upsetting because for years, I have completely defended Ezra Miller as a performer. I love Ezra Miller's portrayal as Flash. I will defend their portrayal as Flash forever. I think they make a great Flash. I really do. But I said yesterday, it's too late to replace Ezra as Flash. It's too late. You can't do it. The movie's done. It's in the can. It's finished. Yeah, I think you can redo the movie now. I'm telling you right now, Warner Brothers won't. They won't. But I think there has to at least be discussions around Warner Brothers right now. Ezra Miller can no longer be our Flash. I don't care if the movie's done or not. Like this is not an isolated incident. This is a pattern of behavior. And Ezra Miller needs help. Ezra needs help. And until some people, particularly those who are working with them and employing them, step up and say, and show them this behavior we do not accept, condone, and we don't tolerate it, you're out. Until Warner Brothers does that, I don't know that Ezra's going to take seriously that they actually really do need some serious professional help. And I'm concerned about Ezra's health, and I'm concerned about Ezra's future if somebody doesn't do something to intercede. And while yesterday I was saying I don't think you reboot Flash or scrap what you've done, today I'm second guessing that. I'm thinking maybe it is time to pull him. And dear heavens, I feel so bad for the filmmakers of Fantastic Beasts because it is really too late to do anything about that. They got this coming out, but they're being very shh. They're not featuring Ezra in any of the new ads that have been coming out the last couple of days, any of the new spots at all. And look, at the end of the day, this is a sad situation. It's sad. But something's got to be done at this point. And I mean, look, even a number of weeks ago, and I promised myself I'd never bring this up again, but I will now anyway. A couple weeks ago, Ezra Miller got on social media and put up this very odd video talking about going to some town to find the Ku Klux Klan members there and basically calling for the formation of death squads to go into a town and go kill people. To which I said, I don't know. Maybe individual citizens shouldn't be getting online on social media and calling for death squads. To which some fucking morons online goes, John, are you defending? Are you taking the side of the Ku Klux Klan? No, you fucking idiot, I'm not. I'm taking our side. That you can't do that. It was yet another sign of somebody who needs help. And that's where we're at. So, Rob, let me throw this over to you. Yesterday's story was bad enough. Now we're hearing about this, like threatening people's lives, saying, I'm going to bury your slut wife and stealing things of theirs. Clearly, you need help. What's your first impression hearing this story, and what can Warner Brothers do at this point, if anything?
Well, I think that clearly something is going on with him personally. I mean, this is not normal behavior. I mean, I think back to, Robert Downey Jr. waking up in someone else's house, clearly in the grips of addiction. And it seems to me that Ezra Miller is dealing with either emotional issues, addiction issues, personality issues, or all three at the same time. And is he on some kind of cross-country odyssey that's taking him from one end of the country all the way to Hawaii? I mean, it's odd to me that he runs into a couple and is staying with them. That's weird. I don't know. That weirdness is probably a lot weirder than we would have been led to believe. It's not just like, hey, come stay with us. It was weird. The whole thing is weird. And I hope that at this point, the people, his handlers, I mean, he's in 2 giant Marvel movies. He's got representation. Not that everybody, DC movies. 2 big movies at Warner Brothers, The Flash and then Fantastic Beasts. He has a team of people representing him. He's got lawyers. He's got agents. He's got managers. He's got family. He's got people that clearly need to intercede on his behalf. Because it's really, I mean, Warner Brothers has to deal with the fallout as a company, but it's really not Warner Brothers' place to step in and they've got to, yes, they can demand public apologies and all that, but they're a corporation. They're publicly held. It's not their responsibility to go make sure somebody gets into rehab. It's the people that are closest to Ezra Miller that have to intercede. The company can intercede, of course, but they're in a really precarious situation themselves, and their job is to put out movies. Their job is not to help people get into the rehab or whatever it is that they need. They can't do that. That's just what they don't have.
But I would counter that, because what you're saying is literally true. It is not their job to put Ezra Miller in rehab. I don't disagree with that. What I would say, though, is that by not enforcing any consequences, they're actually enabling Ezra Miller and making it less likely that Ezra would ever feel the need to go.
I totally agree with that. I mean, and Hollywood has always been lax when it comes to enforcing consequences.
Unless your name's James Gunn.
Well, there you go.
Or Johnny Depp.
I mean, but I do, yes. But I do think that, and what's interesting is, this kind of behavior is worse, really. I mean, he's threatening people, like literally threatening bodily harm, calling for people to be murdered, literally threatening human beings, like, I'm going to bury you and your slut wife. Like, what is that? What's going on there? And action needs to be taken. And I mean, they've got hundreds of millions of dollars riding on this. Warner Brothers does, and you would think they'd be the first people to get out in front and at least try and mitigate the damage.
Chris, I mean, look, it's granted, it is easy for somebody like me to play Monday morning quarterback and go, see, I told you back when this happened before and you didn't do anything. They were like, shh, just don't talk about it. It's easy for me to do that now. Hindsight is 20/20. But as you see what's now happening, what's been transpiring with Ezra lately, what are your first impressions? And then, what do you see Warner Brothers doing, if anything, or do they just employ the same tactic they did 2 years ago of, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil? I mean, what do you think is going to happen here?
I mean, this is wild in light of what we were talking about yesterday, too. And I hope that after that discussion, everyone does realize why we were taking this seriously, because a lot of times these are patterns of behavior and they escalate. And people can end up dead from these terrible, terrible choices. And it's not a laughing matter. And it's something very, very serious.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that Warner Brothers does something about this. We've seen other people who have had things that have gone awry in their personal lives lose positions in film franchises that Ezra's part of, and other people who haven't. Let's call a spade a spade. There has been some picking and choosing of how that's happened.
Oh, yeah.
Ezra Miller, I also want to talk about, a lot of people in the chat are asking about any kind of mental health issue happening here.
Yeah.
And while that can be an explanation to something, that is absolutely not an excuse. Mm-hmm. Also, that perpetuates the narrative that people who are neurodivergent or suffer from any kind of mental illness are dangerous. They're not.
That's a great point.
They absolutely are not. I have several members of my family who have bipolar disorder, and no one has ever been threatened by them or had anything horrible like that happen to them. There are people who are suffering with that in their own terms, but they've never had any kind of violent act happen. So I want that narrative to just be shut down, because that's not okay. What seems to be the problem here is Ezra is going through something with alcohol use, and they have a lot of rage issues, it seems, and that all needs to be taken care of. There's a lot of demons happening here, and it is not all right to perpetuate this level of violence. All this week, I feel like we've been talking about consequences. There are consequences to your actions. There have to be. And by continuing to sweep this under the rug, it further perpetuates another narrative that it does not matter if you are a certain type of privileged human being, if you act violently towards people and I'm going to say it, there is a level of additional aggression towards this woman by calling her a slut. Mm-hmm. And I'm not okay with that. And chat, maybe you're going to do but there's also a man here. And yes, there is. I understand that multiple human beings are being harmed in this situation. But man, oh man, is that something that I am clinging to as someone who has been threatened, who has had that word thrown against them, who has had a person make them feel, oh my gosh, am I going to get killed in this moment by this person? Mm-hmm. A lot of you might not have felt that, but I guarantee you almost every woman in your life, unfortunately, has had that moment happen to her. Mm-hmm. 3 out of 5 women are sexually assaulted. I mean, this is a terrible, terrifying situation. And the fact that they are using this level of aggression is very, very upsetting. I very, very much feel for the man in the situation too, obviously. I just want them to get the help they need.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is obviously, we prefer around here talking about things that are fun. I want to talk about Moon Knight, and I want to talk about these fun things. But this is, and I always avoid the TMZ garbage, but when it directly impacts the entertainment we watch, we have the new Fantastic Beasts coming out in now days. We have this Flash movie we've all been excited for. Aaron, let me ask you, you weren't here for our conversation on this yesterday, but we hear about these incidents, both the one from yesterday, today. What's your first impression, and what should or can Warner Brothers do, and how could this impact, do you think, the entertainment that the rest of us have been waiting to see? What's your take on this?
Well, yeah, I think that Warner Brothers made a huge misstep years ago in not putting some sort of sanctions, if you want to call them that, because you're right, Rob. It is, or sorry, I forget who said it, but it is not the responsibility of a studio to get someone the help that they need. Mm-hmm. It is the responsibility of the people around them. And maybe it's not even necessarily the responsibility of that person's agent. At the end of the day, it is solely the responsibility of the person in the center of those rings.
Yes.
And if the person in the center of those rings is Ezra Miller. And Ezra, whatever is going on with him, even if he has some sort of mental health issues, even if he has some sort of personal problems, he is exacerbating his own issues by continuing to go out in public and get intoxicated, whether it's by alcohol, drugs, or a combination of the two. He does have a choice of whether or not he chooses to do that. And I also understand addiction. I very much understand it. But he also has the resources financially and otherwise to get help. And, you know, I also want to say, so there's just a lot going on here. And with Warner Brothers, they had an opportunity when we saw the previous behavior that was totally excused by so many people, including all over the internet. Oh, it was fake. Oh, she was just trying to get attention. Oh, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. All these people that were trying to defend this behavior that I promise you was not in a vacuum. And I know it wasn't in a vacuum because it is now publicly a pattern of behavior, which tells me that it wasn't just the incident that happened in Europe, and it wasn't just the incident that happened in Hawaii, but it was also so many incidences, probably when he was in the middle of filming The Flash that they covered up, probably when he was in the middle of filming other projects that they covered up. I mean, it happens all the time, okay? I mean, I remember hearing stories from a coworker of mine who worked on whatever the show with David Caruso back in the day.
CSI?
No, the first one.
NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue,
right.
about him throwing chairs at people and coming into work like totally fucked up. But nobody talked about that. It all got covered up because of ratings and because of all this other kind of stuff. And we see the same thing happen in politics, and we see the same thing happening in the world of entertainment, and we see the same thing happening in the world of business. And that is one of the things that I also want to talk about is it is not the fact that Ezra is Hollywood, okay? I have a cousin who I no longer speak to, who's just a rich redneck in South Louisiana, and he is banned from the entire city of Grand Isle, Louisiana, for acting exactly like Ezra Miller. And he's not famous, he's moderately wealthy, but he's just an asshole who has a problem. And no matter how many people try to help him, he refuses to get help. And so when Warner Brothers says, hey, we know that this person is problematic, and we're not going to go to his representation and say, listen, here's the deal. We have another movie, and he's supposed to be the Flash, but we will replace him in a second if you do not get him accountable and get him into a program. I mean, you bring up Robert Downey Jr., like, look at all the things that when Robert Downey Jr., I mean, it's not that nobody wanted to work with Robert Downey Jr. Plenty of people wanted to work with him. He couldn't get insured. No Bond company would insure a single film that hired him because they were like, we don't know if he's going to show up for work tomorrow. Ezra Miller is a liability. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So even if people do want to work with him, even if he's the most talented actor on the planet, it doesn't matter because he's no longer going to be able to be insured. No one is. That's the reason why Lindsay Lohan lost her career. It wasn't because people didn't want to work with her. She's massively talented. She couldn't get insured. I know that. I was her massage therapist at the time. That was that previous job. And I was there. I saw all of the crazy behavior. And so that's what's happening with Ezra Miller. And if Warner Brothers had stepped in when this behavior was first going on and said, we're not going to let him come back in the sequel. Hey, look at how many Spider-Mans we've had. Does anybody give a shit that it's different actors? No, because nobody's watching Ezra Miller. They're watching The Flash.
Right. The problem, of course, that they face, though, right now is that...
That's the Flash they have.
Oh, yeah, this is the Flash they have, and they've already got a film shot and in the can that comes out in 2023, unlike the Spider-Man situations, which hey, listen, I understand. I get it. That's a tough problem.
I'm not a fan of this,
but
this might be a situation where you just got to do a deep fake.
maybe.
Or
just recast and reshoot.
Yeah, maybe there's a reason they did push it as deep into 2023 as they
I didn't even
look
think about that.
Look at all the money in the world. I mean, that movie was about to come out. Boom. Oh, wow, Kevin Spacey is a rapist. I guess we're just going to reshoot all of his scenes with Christopher Plummer.
That was with a small role.
You're right.
This is the star of the movie, but
Right, but at the
might be
same
time to
time,
recast it.
I wonder if you go through the actual film, obviously I have no way of knowing this. If you go through the film and you actually look at the clip that has his face, his full face, maybe the back of his face you can show, you can use all of his action stuff, anything where you're not seeing, all the coverage of the other actors, you don't have to reshoot. I don't know, and especially for a company like Warner Brothers, reshooting all of his scenes, with another actor might be the way to go, because he's clearly a liability. And he also, how is he going to do press? How are you going to do press for The Flash with Ezra Miller?
Problem.
You can't. And the press alone is millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. So you're just not, his face is going to be on billboards and bus stops and, all over the world. You can't have that.
Yeah. You can hide him a little bit in the Fantastic Beasts promo.
Yeah.
You cannot hide Flash from a Flash movie.
It is actually more fiscally sound to replace his face in the movie with another actor and push it a month and do a whole.
It would take more than a month.
Well, yeah. But they've pushed the movie. It's a year away.
Yeah, it doesn't go until 2023.
Well, they have plenty of
there's
time.
a reason why
I don't think Ezra Miller comes out in this movie.
Guys, listen, we're not going to pretend that this is a simple issue or whatever, and it's complex and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I say this as somebody who really likes Ezra Miller's portrayal as Barry Allen. But, clearly something's got to be done here. The question is for you guys. What do you think about this whole situation? What are the first impressions you have? And then more importantly, maybe what does Warner Brothers need to do here? Do you think they're going to take the same approach they did last time of just don't, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, shh, let's just not talk about it and hope that the audience gets distracted again? Are they, like Aaron was saying, has Ezra become a liability to this whole thing? Should they take extreme measures? No measures at all? What do you guys think is going to happen here? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move in and actually hear from you guys and what you guys have to say about all this stuff. But before we do, let's hear from one more of our sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, the great folks at Masterclass. Guys, we want to take just a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, Masterclass. Masterclass is offering classes on a wide variety of topics, like all taught by world-class masters at the absolute tops of their field. Each class is broken down out into individual video lessons, usually like around 10 minutes or so long, and members can explore at their own pace. And each class is supported by downloadable materials, lessons, recipes, or more that you can all find at masterclass.com. For example, are you into streaming? Well, you can take the Building Your Streaming class taught by ninjas so you can sharpen up on your streaming skills. Or if you're interested in independent filmmaking, take independent filmmaking from Academy Award winner Spike Lee. You want to get classes on how to direct? How about from Ron Howard? The very first one I personally looked up and got into was Business Leadership by the great Big Papa Iger, Bob Iger himself. And I was absolutely enthralled with it. I love every single minute of this stuff. If any of those apply to you, you need to try Masterclass. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass. And as a John Campea Show viewer, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. Once again, to get 15% off your annual membership, go to masterclass.com/Campea. And thank you to the great folks at Masterclass, guys. I love Masterclass for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that all down, let's now move over and start taking your live questions. First, I got to find the live questions that we're getting set up on.
We are
there we are. I think we're starting with Wiley, are we not?
We are.
All right, let's get things going with Wiley. What do we got up here first?
All right, from Wiley Todd. I think Moon Knight has the best music supervision I've seen in Marvel since Guardians. Great music choices and very promising.
Yeah, it was just the first episode, but still, you're right. The music in it was great, from the score itself to the soundtrack selections. It was all really good. It played perfectly in with the show. All right, what's next?
From Thanos, oh no. WB ignoring all these, including J.K. Rowling's harmful views, is why I personally won't be seeing Fantastic Beasts. As consumers, we speak with our wallets, and I can, in good conscience, support this movie. I'm so sorry. And I can't, in good conscience, support this movie.
I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial, and a lot of people won't like that I say, but fuck it, I'm going to say it anyway. I do not loop in the issues. Look, we can debate and discuss people having certain views or viewpoints, or have. I have a fundamental problem with just kind of piling that in the same thing with, like, say, somebody busting into a bedroom and threatening to kill people. I do not see these as the same issue. I do not see the two being comparable. Can words be harmful? Yes, I'm not debating that, but I don't like lumping those two things in at once. There are thousands of people who worked on this movie. And I think if we went through the list of all the thousands of people who work on every movie, you're going to find a real asshole somewhere in there. But I don't condone the idea of rejecting a movie because of one person's bad behavior or whatever. But it depends on how the whole movie comes together. But it's a touchy situation, Thanos. It is. I'm not going to pretend that it's not. And each of us approaches it in a different way. And you have your way of approaching it, and so do I.
Could I give Thanos a suggestion?
Yes.
So one of the things that I do for a lot of these things, because there's so many people who do go into making movies, is sometimes then I will make a donation for a charity that I feel is maybe getting hit by some of the hurtful comments somebody's saying. So in this case, I'm going to make a nice donation to some trans youth organizations. And because I know I've got to see the movie for work, I want to see the movie, frankly. I want to support some of these other actors in there. I'll probably also do some donations in light of what Ezra's doing, just to help me balance the scales. Because again, there's always seems to be a bag egg. If you're looking at it in Good Place points terms, right? If anyone watched The Good Place, it's really hard these days to find a perfectly pure, no one was a bad egg movie. And that's one of the ways that I kind of combat that.
I like that idea.
Well said.
My aunt once said that she could never see a Tom Cruise movie because he was a Scientologist. And I was like, you do realize that he is one person in the many, many thousands of people around the world who are working on that movie. And she's like, well, he's a Scientologist, so I can't. And I'm like, okay, so,
No, I'm not going to lie. Like, if a movie came out tomorrow that was starring Kevin Spacey, I would have a difficult time going to see it.
No. I understand, but
I wouldn't say I'm planting a flag saying I reject this movie, but I'm saying I personally would have a hard time going to see it. But I think there's a slight yet distinct difference between the two situations. I don't know. We'll see. All right. What's next?
From Josh Kahn, has there been a movie with as much outside baggage as Fantastic Beasts? Rowling's comments, Depp situation, and now Ezra's repeat history. The franchise should be renamed Damage Control, the WB special.
Yes, there have been. there actually has been. I think Francis Ford Coppola's why am I freezing?
The Cotton Club.
Well, I mean, the Cotton Club had a lot of things. I was thinking of the war film,
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. I mean, there was a lot of stories.
Oh, yeah.
around Apocalypse Now, but yeah, this is a big one too. Listen, the problem with movies will always be that it's made by people, and as long as people are involved with anything, there's going to be shit around. That's one of the realities. But yeah, this has got a lot of shit to deal with, Josh, no doubt. All right, what's next?
From Gone with the Cheddar. My first introduction to Moon Knight was on the video game Marvel Ultimate Alliance on PS2. Seeing him on Disney Plus was unreal. Great first episode.
Not gonna lie to you, I never even heard of Moon Knight till like 5 years ago.
Come on.
Maybe like 7 years ago. But honestly, yeah, I say that as somebody who read a hell of a lot of Marvel comics, man. I mean, but like a lot of my Marvel comics are really mostly focused around X-Men and things like that. And I never saw Moon Knight crossover with them.
No, yeah, it was Moon Knight was a minor character, and he never, by the way, really had a definitive storyline. He didn't have like the Born Again run of Daredevil or God Loves Man Kills, the X-Men graphic novel, or the Frank Miller stuff, Dark Knight Returns. He never had that. He should have.
Well, he
and
might
maybe
now.
he will now.
Yeah, he might now. All right, what's next?
From Andy, 1 of 5. Hi, Chris. Hi, Andy. To answer your question from yesterday, Riverdale just continued its season last Sunday. It's set back to the regular universe. When I said that Archie and Betty gained superpowers from surviving a bomb, I literally meant it.
Oh, my God.
Archie has super strength and invulnerability. Betty sees red auras of criminals. Their dog has super hearing, and Jughead has telepathy. Palladium, the mineral from last season, is Archie's kryptonite. The showrunner said they did this because the showrunners and viewers have poked fun at how in the past seasons Archie was invincible and Betty could somehow detect serial killers by looking at pics of them. Like Fast 9, this kind of self-awareness isn't clever at all. It's just hilariously stupid. Laugh my fucking ass off. Andy.
I just look, I was mentioning this before, but the first season of Riverdale, I liked it.
Yeah, wasn't it like a murder mystery?
Yeah,
Like,
it was a murder mystery in this town and a different kind of look at these classic characters. And I thought, you know what? I didn't love it, but I'm like, they got something here. They've got something here. And Ann and Corey are watching it. And then fast forward 8 months or a year, I walk into a room and Ann and Corey are watching season 2. And I hadn't watched along with them yet. And I stopped in the living room because I was going from my office to the kitchen to grab something. Then I was going back. I stopped in the living room for a second, watched about 3 or 4 minutes of what they were watching. And I said, I'm sorry, are they involved with the Dungeons and Dragons murder cult? Is that what this thing is? Yes, it's the Dungeons and Dragons murder cult. What happened to this show? And now hearing this, like this is
Apparently, Family Guy has a parody episode. The chat is telling us, and I
it's
need
one
to
of
go.
the funniest episodes they've ever done.
Excellent.
Clearly, I need to go find this right now.
Same.
It is so good. The Family Guy
I
thing.
think
of this.
I might finally quit Riverdale. I think this might be what
It might be time.
it might
Wow.
make this happen for me.
All right,
Oh.
what's next?
James Argenta. We are getting Lord of the Rings show, Game of Thrones show, and possibly Andor premiering within a 4 to 6 week period.
It's gonna be a good time to be a TV fan, man. I gotta have to figure out how to fit into the schedule after shows for all these things. Because listen, just so you know, for those of you watching right now at 2 p.m. today, for those of you who are members, because we have opened up our channel membership, everybody. So many of you guys have already signed up to be channel members. Thank you so much for that. But today at 2 p.m. for people who are director and producer level members of the thing, we are doing a live stream town hall where I've got some announcements about some upcoming things we're going to be doing. And I'll be taking your questions as well. But one of the things I'll be talking about is that I think we're going to be expanding a little bit into doing some more open spoiler discussion, or as they're traditionally called, after shows. I think we're going to do a little bit more of that move, but we'll talk about that at the town hall meeting later today. Again, that's at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for those of you who are the that level of member and higher. All right, what's next?
All right, from Sam Fisher, 1 of 2. I really liked episode 1. Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, and F. Murray Abraham were great. I like that they're taking the mystery route like they did with WandaVision. But as of right now, the mystery isn't as compelling as WandaVision's mystery. Really excited for episode 2.
No, it's not. You're right. The mystery so far is not as compelling as the mystery that was in WandaVision. But this is more than a mystery thing, because this one also had a hell of a lot more action than the first episode of WandaVision. WandaVision really leaned into the mystery and the what the hell is going on thing. There was definitely a bit of that, but that's not what Moon Knight is meant to be altogether. It's more of a mixed bag of that, the action, the character. Not as good of a mystery, but just as good of an overall package, though, I think. I mean, it was just fantastic. All right, thanks for that, Sam. What's next?
Macaulay Sulkin just sending in a super chat to support us. Great
Thank
name.
you.
Oh, my goodness. Chris Bersinas. Moon Knight might be Disney's most violent show.
I'll tell you what, it's pretty violent so far, and I think it's only going to get more violent.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there for it.
But, I mean, it even felt violent even when they didn't show you the violence.
Yeah.
Now, those of you who didn't watch the episode yet, you may not know what we're talking about, but there's a blink in and blink out, and all of a sudden you see the results of a lot of violence, but I still felt all the excitement, even though we didn't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So good so far. I hope it continues to be this good. All right, what's next?
All right, from MP. Not to sound highfalutin, but the inefficiency of the current cinematic climate is academic. Evocation of apropos cognate luminaries. Something salient?
Someone got a thesaurus.
Yeah, so obviously MP went to a thesaurus to try to write something out, so good on you for that.
I went to public school, bud. You got to help me sometimes.
All right, what's next?
Reels and Heels. R.I.P. Tom Parker from the UK pop group The Wanted, 1988 to 2022.
I am not familiar with either the band or the individual.
Wait, is that the band that sings? I
No, that's The Darkness.
Oh, right.
Wow, kudos that you knew that.
This is why I love this woman.
I have so much useless knowledge.
This is
up in
why I
here.
love her.
Unfamiliar with that, but thank you. Listen, I'm sure many people are watching who do know what you're talking about, Reels, and thanks. Good on you for shouting that out. All right, what's next?
The Wheat Man sending in some support.
Thank you, wee man.
Carlos 16NG. Hey, John, Canada qualified for the World Cup.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe I am living in a year where Forza Italia, where Italy did not qualify for the World Cup,
No.
but Canada did. There's something fundamentally wrong with the world, but that's fine. I'll take it. I've never watched Canada play in the World Cup, so I'm going to totally, absolutely take
I blame global warming. Finally,
Probably.
it was warm enough in Canada for you guys to have a patch of grass in one part of the country for at least 3 months so that the team could practice.
I have never understood, like, besides hockey, like, basketball and soccer are massively popular in Canada. Massively popular. Basketball is more understandable because you can play indoors, but I've never understood why soccer is so popular in Canada, but it's been very popular in Canada for a long time.
Do they call it football or soccer?
No, we call it soccer.
You do?
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Film Code Podcast. Hey, John, don't know if you made it back to see X, but don't. You were right to walk out.
Yeah, I went to go see X, for those of you who don't know this, and it only became the 6th or 7th film in my life that I walked out of. Despite the fact that they're real hot people having real hot, real explicit sex, it was boring. Like, so boring. And about halfway through the film, there are things I could be watching on TV at home right now that I might have more fun. So I literally got up and left. Now, after I left, I read the reviews, and the reviews are great. And I started thinking, well, it must have really picked up after I left. Maybe I need to go back and check it out again and see what happens in the second half of the film. Because I've heard from a lot of people that really like it. So you're the first person I heard that it didn't get any better, but I might have to check it out myself, Film Code. Thanks for the update, though. All right, what's next?
Raymond Barada. Because of the recent Bruce Willis news, my Bruce Willis retrospective, no order. Die Hard, Hudson Hawk,
We didn't mention Hudson Hawk, yeah.
Fifth Element, so good. Last Boy
Oh,
Scout.
I love The Last Boy Scout.
Sixth Sense, Armageddon, Unbreakable, Pulp Fiction, 12 Monkeys.
There's a great, one of my favorite Bruce Willis movie moments is actually the end of The Last Boy Scout. Because that's the one where, like, where Wayans is the former NFL quarterback, right? That was my last game. I threw 300 yards. But it's this, the ending, I don't know why it stuck with me forever. He says, and when I do it, I'll do a jig. And at the end of the movie, he does this jig. And I just remember, this is awesome. I just remember thinking I totally forgot about that.
Shane Black wrote that movie.
Did he?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Love Shane Black.
Oh, I wish he did better on Predators. But I do love Shane Black as well. All right, what's next?
Never lose your nerd. Ray, I'm with you about Superman 4, my fave since kid.
Yeah, of course, Ray was talking about that a little bit earlier about when we were talking during our Man of Steel open spoiler discussion yesterday, or for Movie Club, that he loved the one with Nuclear Man. There you go. I don't often hear a lot of love for Nuclear Man. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, watch Moon Knight wearing my Moon Knight shirt.
Now, come on, Rob, be honest. Did you break out any Moon Knight attire to watch the episode?
No, because I've been moving it, but I did move
right.
I have 2 little Moon Knight busts that I'm going to put next to your Moon Knight statue. I did have them.
Well, there you go. As long as you had that, I think you're covered. All right, what's next?
All right. From Al Renshaw, be honest. How many times have you guys seen or watched the Sharon Stone leg cross scene? She was so hot in that movie.
I think, look, when I was a kid, because this movie was out when I was a kid, but when I was a kid and
30 years old.
we had to like rent it on VHS, I mean, clearly I probably watched it a couple of times. I haven't watched Basic Instinct probably in 25 years.
Would you like to borrow my 4K?
No, I
disc?
don't watch physical media discs. No, that's all right. But I appreciate that.
It has lots of special features.
You know what? The special features could be intriguing to me. I might do it at some point just to
One
watch the
day,
special
John,
features.
one day on this show, and that day might not come anytime soon, you're going to say, you know what, Rob? I would like to borrow your disc, and I'll bring it to you.
It's going to have a hard time imagining that day, but maybe someday. All right, what's next?
From Rocket Sized, have you guys seen The Righteous Gemstones on HBO Max? Hilarious series.
What are you telling me about this,
I
Aaron?
love this show.
It's
I love
so
it. I love
good.
it. I love it.
It's bonkers, too.
It is so wackadoodle, batshit crazy in the best way possible. If you're a fan of Workaholics, of course, I'm going to blank on everybody's name.
Adam Devine?
Adam Devine, yes, is in it. And I love the actress who plays Judy. I follow her on Instagram, and I'm also blanking.
I don't watch the show, so I don't know.
It is really wonderful, and
John, you would really like it.
you would.
I keep having people telling me that I
and
would.
John
I should check it
Goodman
out.
is just
Well, John Goodman's a national treasure.
He's wonderful.
lovely in this show. But it really, I mean, it's wonderful. And at the end of the day, it's about family and all the dysfunction that family has, but also the love that no matter what goes on and how dysfunctional they are, at the end of the day, they've got each other's back.
Did Danny McBride create the show?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's so good in it. The actress who plays his wife, this is when I know that someone's really, really good in a role, is when I watch it and I go, why didn't I play that role? Like, I'm so, like, every time I watch the show, the woman who plays Danny McBride's wife, she's so good, and I seethe with envy because I want to play that role so bad. But you know what? Kudos to her because she's brilliant in it.
All right. What's next?
From Cole Reed. You know what this means, Rob? This means Midnight Suns. We're going to, in our life, watch that movie.
I still don't think they will. But let me ask you this. If they were going to do Midnight Suns with Marvel, with the MCU, whether it's on Disney Plus or whatever, who do you think that lineup would be?
Blade, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight. I don't know.
You think they put Black Knight in that one?
Black Knight could very well be. Because, yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. But
Do you think it will happen?
I think they're going to do a Midnight Sun series. I absolutely can see that. I don't think they'll do a movie, but I think they'll absolutely do a series. But they've got to introduce, I mean, they're going to lean heavily into the supernatural. This is the beginning of their, I mean, we saw Agatha Harkness and we've got magic there, but maybe add Agatha Harkness to it. But this is opening the floodgates of the supernatural in a big way.
All right, what's next?
From Blake62. If the DCEU had never existed and Man of Steel was released in 2022, I think it would be received differently. Audiences weren't ready in 2013.
I think there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been a night and day difference, but you're right. I think if Man of Steel came out today, I do think you're right. I think the audience would have been a little bit more prepared for it and ready for it and be in a position to accept the glory of that movie.
Well, also
a little bit better.
They wouldn't have such expectations on what Superman has to be.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
And I think they would be more accepting of, for instance, him killing Zod.
Right. All right, what's next?
All right, from Mickey Bell. Hey guys, liked Moon Knight but didn't love it. Looking forward to the mystery unraveling, but wasn't blown away. Oscar Isaac's bad accent was also distracting. Maybe that was intentional?
I thought
Bad?
it was perfect in this way. If Steven is not who he really is, then there should be something a little bit off with the accent.
Yeah, and
Personally, I loved it. I loved
the
it.
Layla character says, "What's up with the accent?"
Yeah,
I mean, it's even said in the show. So,
I dug it a lot. All right, but hey, listen, Mickey. Listen, not everybody's going to love something. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it, whatever. So let's see how it unfolds for the rest of us. All right, what's next?
From Abraham Ruiz, Moon Knight was awesome.
I personally agree. I really do think it was pretty awesome too, Abraham. All right, what's next?
South Texas Shark, Chris and Aaron, what is your favorite Tex-Mex food minus Frito pie?
Ooh, love a Frito pie in the
pie is
Fritos
good.
bag. That is really delicious.
What the everlasting fuck
Is a Frito
is
pie?
a Frito pie?
Okay, well, imagine what's that curds and whey crap that you guys
Poutine.
eat? Yeah, imagine poutine, but crunchy with
Curds and
chili
whey.
and delicious. It's literally, they take a bag of Fritos, the corn chips, they rip off the top, and they pour chili in it, and then cover it with shredded cheese, maybe a dollop of sour cream,
So
some
good.
jalapenos. And you eat it with a fork out of the bag.
Important question. The chili in this, is it beanless or with beans?
I mean,
This
it
is
depends
beanless,
on where you get it, but I
Okay, you know
usually get
what?
it without beans.
You've signed up a new customer.
It's
Yeah.
delicious.
I actually don't like beans and chili.
I don't
just-
either. I don't either. It's a little too like nuggety.
But so you're
I
saying
do it 'cause I like
Fritos,
fiber.
cheese, sour
Chili.
cream,
Chili.
and chili?
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Oh,
Sign
yeah.
me up.
It is
This
so
sounds
good.
Great.
So good.
But my personal favorite of all Tex-Mex everything is queso fully loaded. And it was so bizarre when I first came, because I'm a Texas girl by way of the bayou in South Louisiana. And when I went to my first Mexican food restaurant in Southern California, I was not familiar with SoCal Mexican food. And so I sit down, I ordered chips and queso, like you're supposed to do. And they were like, do you want like just a side of cheese. And I was like, no, I want queso. And they're like, cheese, like shredded cheese. I'm like, am I talking a foreign language here? It blew my mind that queso is a Tex-Mex thing. And what I mean by queso is, I'm sure it's Velveeta.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like,
it's Velveeta and Rotel.
yeah,
Yeah.
It is like garbage cheese, but it is melted. And you just dip your chip in it, and then you dip your chip in the hot sauce, and then you go to sweet heaven. And if you get it fully
Years of
loaded,
your life leave you. Oh.
they put the actual ground beef in that and the guacamole in that, and it is just I would bathe in it. The most
Go to
disgusting.
Austin and get the Kirby queso. All that shit.
God.
That's so good.
All right. Okay, you sold me. I'm sold. All right. What's
We're all
next?
family trip to Texas.
Yay.
We're going.
Edmontonian, I know you were sad about Italy, but Canada has qualified for the World Cup. Break out the Pilsner.
I feel like I'm living in bizarro world. I cannot believe that's happening. I'm going to watch Canada play in a World Cup game. It's absolutely crazy, Edmontonian. All right, what's next?
From Suthius, I love Steven's sense of humor, especially when he's under duress. Please, almighty God of filthy, yes, you, Mr. C, may we have Moon Knight spoilers?
Oh, yes. And like I said, at 4 o'clock today, we're going to be doing a Moon Knight open spoiler discussion. Make sure you come back and join us for that. All right, what's next?
Ryan Launer, Nicole Kidman. Everyone goes to the movies because they make us feel things. Wait, is this Morbius? Screw it, I'm out.
Come on now. We haven't seen Morbius yet.
I mean, Nicole knows that you can feel everything in that theater.
I mean,
so-
heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see Morbius tomorrow, and I'm still going in with my head held high, with all the faith in the world, and, prepared for the worst. But we'll see how it goes. All right, what's next?
From I Am Awesome 418, Moon Knight was awesome. Got my ticket for Morbius tomorrow. Even though it's not as well received, I'll still try to enjoy it for myself.
I am awesome 418. You are indeed awesome. Good on you for keeping the faith. And we'll see how this thing turns out. Might be a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth after we see it, though. All right, good on you, man. All right, what's next?
Rated Row, Moon Knight Day.
Moon Knight Day.
Rob, how would I start my hot toy collection? You said they have payment plans?
Yes. Depending on where you buy them, you can look. A lot of people are buying the Robert Pattinson or Battinson hot toy. It doesn't come out until next September. I'm talking 2023 September. So what you can do is, whether you buy it from Toys Wonderland or you buy it from Sideshow, you can pay every month toward your figure. And sometimes you pay your figure off before it comes out. And then when it comes out, they just ship it to you. And it makes those expensive goodness toy figures that we all love that cost, $250 to $300. Hey, it's like having a drink at a bar or something if they take it out once a month. The pain is far less.
All right, what's next?
Ben Rayner, you're doing it live. Love the live aspect of this show. looking forward to Member Town Hall today.
Okay, let's just do it. That's what I thought about that too after I said that. I just thought of whatever the Fox News guy was. Okay, we'll do it live, whatever. Yeah, that was pretty much me. And I am also looking forward to the town hall today. Thanks a lot for bringing that up, Ben. All right, what's next?
Leo Liang, I owe Rob an apology. Didn't think it would be that great, but Moon Knight was flippin' amazing.
Rob, you feel some vindication there?
I know people have their doubts because they don't have a 40-year connection to a character. So, I don't begrudge you the fact that you were wrong.
All right, what's next?
From Walid Haji, what's more outrageous, the slap or the reaction?
Jim Carrey came out and said that he was sickened. I did say he was sickened by the fact that the crowd at the Oscars gave him a standing ovation after what had happened.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. The reason I cut everybody who was in the audience a little bit of slack is because I was watching on TV and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if it was a work or a fake or whatever. I had no idea. And, I was a little bit disturbed by the fact that, look, Smith should have been escorted out of the building when that happened. But we heard the explanation about why that didn't happen, and it makes total sense. It all happened so fast. They didn't have time to get together and discuss what to do. And the best actor category was coming up only 10 minutes later and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. It's fine.
Can you imagine what would have happened if they did escort him out and he did win? Just like it
would have been, it would have been tremendously awkward.
It would have been one of the, it was the Oscars after all. So I think you're right about that. But what if they had escorted him out, it would have been like an international incident that it would have been, I think, worse.
Right. Again, The issue, though, is if it was anybody else in the world, they would have been escorted out. There's a new story, though, that the Academy's now said they're going to take a couple of weeks to deliberate what the response should be. And I think that's good. They should take their time, whatever. I'm still of the position that number one, you do not take the Oscar away. I know there are still some Academy members who feel they need to take his Oscar away. I think it has nothing to do with it. He won the Oscar. It was voted on before the thing happened. You don't take that away, or else, as Chris pointed out, you're going to be going around Hollywood knocking on all the doors and taking back a lot of Oscars, if that's what you're going to be doing. Secondly, it shouldn't be, like some people are saying, it should be a lifetime ban. I don't think it should be that. I think it should be appropriate to the thing. I say 3-year suspension. 3-year suspension. You're off. Your membership to the Academy is revoked, and you're not eligible for any Academy Awards for 3 years. And then let him get back to it. I think it should be proportionate. You know, Aaron, I was bringing up on the show when we were talking about the Will Smith stuff the other day. I was talking about how the fact that, unlike the Ezra Miller thing, this is not a pattern of behavior. What happened there? And I mentioned talking to you that your experience with Will Smith was nothing but positive. I know a lot of people who've spoken about he's just generally a good guy. This was an isolated incident. But now that the Academy has said that they're going to take a few weeks, what do you think the outcome should be with the Academy on this? Do you think there should be nothing? Do you think there should be a suspension? Do you think they should take his Academy Award away? Do you think what are your thoughts on it?
As you said, I'm not going to belabor this too much. I've been thinking a lot about this for the past 48 hours. As you said, this is an isolated incident. For people who want to say, oh, well, he slapped somebody on the red carpet 15 years ago and blah, blah, blah. First of all, that person was basically a talentless Borat who has been accosting celebrities and people on the red carpet as his thing that he does. And he grabbed Will Smith's head and tried to kiss him. And let me tell you something. If I'm out in public doing my job and somebody grabs my head and tries to force a kiss on me, I will sucker punch them in the throat so fast and happily go to jail for it. So fucking try it. That being said, he does not have a history of violence. He does not have a history of having anything other than the most beautiful, kind, lovely, professional, star-worthy disposition. I talked on my Instagram. I did a post on my Instagram about my experience working with him. If you would like to hear a little bit more detail, I'm happy. You can go and check that out. And I talk a lot about my experience working with him and how unbelievably pleasant it was, and how I saw in that time what made him a star. And I said, I really hope that he wins the Oscar. I have no doubt that he will absolutely be nominated, but Will Smith absolutely deserves every wonderful accolade and amount of success that he has earned in his very long career. You have to also remember that Will Smith is someone that in the 90s, at the height of grunge rock and gangster rap, he was someone who came out and became a worldwide phenomenon rapper without saying a single curse word. He was like the rap that you could listen to with your parents. This guy
No. Because parents just don't understand.
That's right. He he has spent the last 30 plus years, 3 decades, not having a single scandal, never being arrested, never having an explosion on set that gets caught on the sound and, that we hear about. We hear about that with Tom Cruise and with Christian Bale and, people getting arrested and Ezra Millers and people being drunk and acting like assholes, never getting a DUI. Like, the guy has literally walked a tightrope of
and he's done a lot of great work. And
yes, some of it, not every movie that he's done has been a powerhouse, but the man has done Oscar-worthy performances again and again and again, and literally came from being...
Okay, I have to speed things along here.
Okay, I will just say this.
The issue, what do you think
I'm just going to say this. We all saw a man at the height of his career, nominee for Best Actor, get up on stage and so overcome with emotion in that moment that he assaulted a presenter who was then stunned to the point of not even knowing what to say or what to do. And nothing happened. Nothing happened when we all saw Adrian Brody sexually assault Halle Berry. He got up on that stage, grabbed her head.
Wait,
no.
I'm not going to let you change topics. I'm not
changing topics. This is the topic. Nothing should happen because nothing happened to Adrian Brody.
He went on stage and he physically assaulted somebody. You're saying nothing should happen?
Adrian Brody went on stage and sexually assaulted Halle Berry. We all saw it. Nothing was different. The only difference is that became a meme that was huge.
So you're saying if you had walked on stage and physically assaulted on somebody on stage, you don't think anything would have happened to you?
I am saying, what is the difference between Adrian Brody sexually assaulting Halle Berry on stage and Will Smith physically assaulting Chris Rock on stage? Halle Berry had to wipe his spit off of her face and nothing was done. The LAPD wasn't called backstage like they were for this incident. Nobody went and said to Halle Berry, hey, do you want to press sexual assault charges? Whereas they did ask Chris Rock, do you want to press assault charges?
All right, okay, so look. We have to move on from this. I fundamentally disagree with you on this. I don't think.
Tell me I'm wrong that Adrian Brody did not commit sexual assault.
What? No, I'm not going to entertain that.
Then how is it different?
Because something else being done wrong 8 years ago does not make what happens today okay. So whether or not I'm not.
If we are not going to,
just like I'm not going to get into the debate about whether or not Chris Rock's joke was appropriate or not, because
it wasn't.
Because even if it wasn't appropriate,
it wasn't.
That doesn't separate itself or excuse what Will Smith did. The moment you start saying that, if you speak words, you're allowed to be up and be physically.
I didn't say that. I never once said.
But
I do not believe.
No consequences. You are saying that. Look, I
don't believe that what Will Smith did was right.
I have to.
But he apologized.
So let's say
he's being held accountable.
Let's say Ezra Miller comes out and apologizes for threatening the people in the bedroom. Does that clear him of everything? Should there be no consequences?
Okay, so now we are changing the topic.
No,
I'm not allowed to talk about Adrian Brody committing assault, but you're allowed to compare it to Ezra Miller.
You're saying that the apology made it okay. I'm saying I
disagree. Did I say that? I never once said he apologized, so it's okay. I said it was wrong, but what I'm saying is...
This off right now. We need to cut this off right now and move on. Clearly to say, I believe he should be held accountable and there should be marginally a suspension of some kind. Otherwise, we're telling people all over the country that if a comedian says something on stage that you don't like, you can go up on stage and assault them.
That's already happening. Now, that is already happening.
Let me finish, Aaron. Aaron takes a different position than this. She believes that there is precedent that's been set, that a guy who has, as I've said as well, has had no pattern of any of this kind of behavior, nothing but the most upright of character that we've seen him in history. That's why I don't think they should take his Academy Award away. So Aaron and I clearly have two very different positions. We'll leave that up to everybody else to decide what you think should happen here, now that you've heard our different positions on this, and leave your thoughts below. All right, now we are going to move on. Okay, what is next?
From Kevin Cow, Moon Knight is so good, the music and the setting. Is London the new gathering for the next group? Black Knight, Blade, and Black Knight and Blade are already in London.
Well, I think that brings us right back to the whole Midnight Suns discussion. Like,
yes, it does.
And like, look, we've seen. By the way, was I wrong in thinking it's been a beat since I've seen Eternals? That museum, was that the same museum from Eternals?
Okay, I don't know, but I was thinking, what if it was? I mean, they didn't show us any part of that, but in my mind, it kind of was, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's the same museum, but in my mind, I'm like,
But if they do it, should it take place in something like London? Is that the place for it to happen? Because I don't know enough about the Midnight Suns to know if that's the case.
To me, everything supernatural comes from Europe anyway. Europe and Africa, all the and Indian and Asian countries. The supernatural, we inherited the supernatural here in America. So give me supernatural stuff happening in Europe or the mountains of Carpathia or wherever.
All the way back
Ancient
to
Egypt,
American
India.
Werewolf in London. All right, what's next?
From Daniel Dang, House of the Dragon and the Rings of Power back to back. It's a great year for fantasy fans.
And as somebody pointed out, Andor is going to be playing at the same time. It's going to be a really, really good time for television fans in general.
Yeah, sci-fi fantasy every week. Come on now.
Yeah, sign us up. All right, what's next?
From Macaulay. Oh, wow. I went through puberty. Sorry. From Macaulay Culkin again. Halloween idea. John and crew dressed as characters from Free Guy in a video set to the song Fantasy by Mariah Carey. Would be so wholesome.
What is that song?
I don't know
The
that
song that she sings.
Well,
that Mariah Carey song.
You know the Mariah Carey song? What song is that? The one that Paris sings. Oh, it's the one they play in the movie. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
First of all, has everybody in the room seen Free Guy yet?
I had a baby. I haven't seen anything.
You and
She's
Tom
just
would
watching
love it.
Rango finally, basically.
really-
Like, that's what happened.
What, you just watched Rango?
No. Please, I'm sorry, Joe.
like there are a lot of movies that just because you like, you think everybody. I honestly think you would love. Free
No,
Guy.
I believe that I would. I love Ryan Reynolds, good Canadian kid, obviously, and you guys have talked so highly about
It's
it.
really good.
No, it is definitely. It's on my list. There are many on my list. I promise.
It's a great one for you and Tom to watch together. I think. So who would? Well, there's not a lot of characters in the movie, so I'm not quite sure who would play what. But
I'll
a
play a
cosplay
boy.
as Free Guy might be all right. All right, what's next?
All right, from MCV Multi-Comic Verse. Will Smith's punishment should be he has to host the Oscars alongside Chris Rock next year.
We talked
get
about that
behind
last
that.
year. It's like what?
Yes.
Like that would be a coup if they had Chris. Because somebody initially wrote and said, I think the Oscars should do a makeup of this by having Chris Rock host next year. I said, well, he's already hosted once, so I mean
Yeah.
that's
that
but
doesn't
then-
mean he can't host again.
No, absolutely. But then somebody else wrote in and said, make Chris Rock and Will Smith host the Oscars.
And make
I
Will
think
Smith
that
do
there
it.
is going to be a really beautiful reunion. And speaking of beautiful reunions, by the way, just so you guys know, the people in this room, I love like my family. And one of the reasons why I love them like my family is because we can all disagree. I admit I got a little heated. I take it a little personally, the Will Smith thing, because I did have such a great experience with him. But John, thank you for giving me that space. And I apologize for getting so heated.
You never have to apologize for being heated. You never have. And listen,
But I love
have
that we can
suffered-
have these debates.
Yeah.
I have suffered more physical harm at the hands of Erin Cummings when she's in moments of joy
Than
than
Chris
I
Rock
ever
ever
have.
had.
All I can say is
Never have.
we missed an opportunity that we had on Monday. If we had planned it that you got up,
Oh, that
walk,
was you missed the opening to Monday.
you walk
show. That
around,
was
and
great.
if you were to have slapped John in the face,
I can still do it.
no,
And no. But by the way, I already see the questions coming in the live chat. What do you mean by Erin physically inflicting pain on you in
It's
moments of
true.
joy? I'm talking about in a movie, okay? I'm talking about in a movie is what I'm specifically talking
Sure,
about.
John.
He means the movie, our sex tape that me and Ann had. No, whenever I get very,
That was very specific.
As you can tell, I am.
Shang-Chi gave me a lot of bruises on
I'm
my
a
arm.
bit animated, so whether I am unhappy or I'm happy, I'm very physically animated. And whenever I'm excited in a movie and John happens to be sitting next to me, he gets punched and grabbed. and
I get hit a
thrashed.
lot.
Yeah,
I
he
get
gets hit a lot. He can
All
take
right.
it.
What's next?
All right, from John Amir Singleton, sending in an almost $20 super chat. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, John.
Hey, John, just watched Man of Steel Movie Club, and the thing that set in stone for me, Cal killing Zod, was when he has him in the chokehold, pleading for him to stop. Zod, in a strained voice, just says never.
That is such a good point to make, because we often talk about whenever Man of Steel comes up, a couple of issues usually raised, or whether it's the Pa Kent death scene, but one of the big ones is usually the two big ones is always the destruction, which we've already covered on the thing the other day. You got to remember that this Superman, not only has he only been Superman for about 24 to 48 hours, Clark Kent has never been in a fight in his life. Clark Kent has never had a fight.
He's a pacifist.
His father always made sure he couldn't fight.
He would have killed somebody.
Yeah, he would have killed somebody. He's never been in a fight. But with Zod, it was Zack Snyder, I think, fairly painfully went through to lay the groundwork that Zod's only purpose for existing now was to kill every human being on the planet. And Zack Snyder and David Goyer wrote a scene where Kal-El was literally in a position where there was no definitively right choice. He could either kill Zod or allow millions of other people to die. And you're right, he pleaded with Zod to stop. And so he didn't just kill him but before killing him, he pleaded with him to stop, to which he says never. So there it is. He either kills Zod in that moment or Zod murders millions more. And I think that's a very good thing to bring up, John. Thank you for saying that. All right, what's next?
From Elizabeth Hirado, was going to go see Lost City yesterday, but I couldn't stomach seeing the Nicole commercial, so I stayed home. Damn.
I am telling you what, it gets worse and worse. I mean, it's a great commercial. I just wish I saw it on TV now and again rather than after 25 minutes of trailers and 3 go get some soda at AMC spots. Then you think the movie's about to start and AMC shows you a commercial about coming to AMC theaters. Again, it's like making somebody look at your dating profile when you're already in the middle of having sex. It makes no sense. And it's just waste more
But
time.
isn't it now because it's become such a punchline when you see it, it becomes entertaining and joyous?
No.
ironic
it's
in
just
a way.
Start the fucking movie. This it said 7 p.m. showtime. It's now 7:31. Why am I looking at Nicole Kidman?
Well, as a lifelong fan of redheads and being a fan of hers all the way back to Dead Calm and BMX
I love her
Bandits.
too.
I never take a Nicole Kidman sighting for granted.
That
All right.
ad only makes sense if you were black bagged, have your hood lifted up all of a sudden, then you're like, oh, I'm in an AMC.
Yes.
Like,
It's a good thing. I never would have known.
yeah, my kidnappers took me to see a movie. How delightful. Like, there's no purpose.
It's a great commercial to play on television.
They need to change something where they actually have a couple break up in the middle of a movie. Like some woman leaves her
and then she's
boyfriend
like,
or something.
but it does feel good here.
Heartbreak, even
like
heartbreak feels
But
good.
also, it kind of feels like preaching to the choir, like, bitch, I'm already in the movie.
Yeah, that's
Not saying
exactly
Nicole
the
Kidman is a
point.
bitch, but like, I'm already here. Why don't you go tell everybody that's watching it on streaming?
All right, what's next?
From Mickey Bell, excuse me. Thank you for all the awesome body of work, Bruce Willis. My favorite is The Fifth Element, which turns 25 years old this year.
It is crazy. Now, I'm going to admit, I am not the world's biggest fan of Fifth Element. I like Fifth Element. I don't think it's the great classic that most people do, but the reality is most people do. And it is bonkers crazy. But that's why I said earlier, you could take away the Die Hard movies. And you're still looking at Fifth Element, Sixth Sense, Sin City, Pulp Fiction, 12 Monkeys, Looper, Armageddon, Whole Nine. He still has a Hall of Fame career, even if you take away Die Hard. And if you take away all the other movies and all he has is Die Hard, you've got a Hall of Fame career. I mean, it's yippee-ki-yay, man. I mean, thank you, Bruce Willis. All right, what's next?
All right, from Danis Productions. I honestly don't like that Disney editing the show.
At the end of the day, though, I'm going to propose this dance, and I can't say this for certainty, but I'd be willing to bet a little bit of money that if somebody didn't point out to you and you went back and watched it again, you wouldn't have even noticed.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Oh,
that
I might have noticed that
inconsequential.
continuity issue.
The continuity
That
issue,
one.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if
blood,
you're
though.
gonna change the one part, I don't know why they didn't change the other. But
So
yeah,
wait, so they take out when he actually gets impaled,
Yeah.
but then later we see that person impaled.
apparently, yes.
Well, then, yeah, they should
continuity problem.
John,
just be super glued to the wall.
something just struck me. Why is Nicole Kidman in an empty theater? Like, doesn't that kind of, I mean,
Man, when you
Wha-
rich, you can do so much shit.
why?
Yeah,
It's like, I'm going to go see The Lost City
Yeah,
John
myself.
Campea had that theater.
But she's like in a theater where no one's gone to see the movie. So she's in a movie that's not making any money for anybody.
You're right. It's like AMC saying nobody comes to our theaters. Dear God, please somebody come to our
Somebody
theaters.
come. I mean,
I didn't even think about that.
no one's in the theater. Like, why doesn't she walk in with the whole just packed
You know what?
house?
We have had private theaters for Spider-Man screenings and
The
for Batman
Batman.
screenings. So maybe she did a private theater for one.
Yeah, but that just shows her privilege. She's not one of the regular people that actually goes to
She's seeing
AMC.
an AMC movie in a glittery jumpsuit. I mean, she's living her best
It's
life.
not anything to scream privilege. It's before she walks into the
Right.
theater. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack, one of two. So with the sad news that Bruce Willis is stepping down from acting, I have two questions for you all. What movie or even TV show introduced you to the great Bruce Willis? And what were your favorite... Where are you, Casey? Movies with him in it. For me, it was Die Hard that introduced me to him. But I feel Fifth Element was his best. Also liked him in Looper, Pulp Fiction, The Sixth Sense, and Unbreakable.
Not my favorite movie. I think his best performance might have been Sixth Sense. Like, I mean, really, his performance in it is absolutely
It
fantastic.
makes that movie.
Yeah.
If his performance didn't work, the twist wouldn't work. The whole.
100%.
I
But
mean,
it was Moonlighting that introduced me to him when I was a
Yeah,
kid. I
that's
mean, I
same
think
for
for anybody
Moonlighting.
over a certain age, probably was Moonlighting.
And I feel like the will they won't they that you were referencing earlier totally set the stage for X-Files. Will they won't they? I mean, the whole will they won't they,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel really started from Moonlighting.
And what came first, Moonlighting or Remington Steele? I think Moonlighting didn't it?
I'm not sure.
I think Remington Steele might have come.
Did that come first? Because that had the will they won't they kind of
yeah.
element to it as well.
Oh,
with
man.
Pierce
I
Brosnan.
watched reruns of that and was so in love with Pierce Brosnan. Oh,
Yeah, everybody
What
knew.
dreamboat.
Like, that was the last time I remember that, probably the last time ever, when the question of who should the next James Bond be, it was kind of like there was a universal acknowledgement. Oh, it should be Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it should be Pierce Brosnan, and eventually he did. All right, what's next?
all right. From Blake62. If they ever make Madagascar 4, there's going to be some awkward dialogue between Marty and Gloria. That's Chris and Jada.
Oh, I see.
well, they've been having beef since 2016, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gone
Sunday
back
was
a bit.
nothing new. This was just the final straw.
All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw. I don't buy that the Academy didn't know what to do about Will Smith after the incident. If they are truly against violence and condone it, why do you is there another one? Why do you
There it is.
do you need a board meeting? There should be no debate, discussion necessary, and he should have been removed from the theater.
No, I'm going to disagree with you. Look, do I think he should have been removed from the theater? I do, because I think anybody else would have been. But here's the thing. As Rob pointed out, you're live on air on, other than a sporting event, the most watched television event of the year. And you're talking about a megastar and one of the most important categories of the night. That's not something you make a decision on in a split second. That is something that you do need to confer. Number one, who has the authority to make that decision? I doubt there's any one person alone that had the authority to make that decision.
Well, immediately after it happened, people backstage were saying that the head of the Academy, Will Smith's publicist, the director of the show, like there was a whole gaggle of people that went into a private room together.
Yes, in the hotel, rather, it was right beside it. I think they went over there to meet.
They were like, what are we going to do about this?
Yeah,
and they were having
they
that
only had
discussion.
like literally minutes.
Yeah.
They literally had minutes. So
And also he, I was thinking about this from my days of my many days of waiting tables and working in bars. I've seen people get slapped in a bar. The person that did the slapping, they didn't automatically get ejected. It depended on the establishment. Look at the beginning of Roadhouse versus the end of Roadhouse. Totally different establishments. But it was the person that was out of control that was. So yeah, I don't know. I think that
Did you ever beat anyone's ass when you were working in a bar?
I have, but we are doing our chat thread. I will tell you about that later. I did, yes.
Suffice to say, Al, that I do completely buy what the Academy is saying here, because to me that does make logical sense.
Yeah.
Even though I was asking the same questions beforehand, when I read the explanation, I think Rob, you and I both went, yeah, actually that does make sense. I see where they're going.
I mean, could you imagine what were they going to do? Send in police, security to. What if Will Smith, obviously his dander was up? What if the scene continued and he was screaming? It would have been
I think
ugly.
if the scene had continued 100%, they would have cut to commercial.
Yeah.
And something would have happened. But the fact that it was that Denzel came over, talked to him, things seemed to be calm, and they were like, oh, okay, I think the moment has passed. Let's just deal with this after the show.
But again, I just don't think it was a decision that they could have just made on a snap.
No,
like
I don't
that. There
either.
are too many implications.
Yeah.
There was nothing that would have come that was
All right,
good
we're
out of that.
really behind schedule here. So let's start flying here. What's next?
Carlos 16NG, the 2026 World Cup is in USA, Mexico, Canada.
And Canada's going to be a part of it now. They qualified. I can't believe it. All right, what's next?
From John Amir again, what was the true moment he knew it had to be done? That was the true moment he knew it had to be done. Oh, that must have been a follow-up to his last question. Sorry.
What was the
One of two
last
for me.
question? I can't remember.
The Superman moment
Oh,
with Zod.
yes, you're absolutely right. As soon as he says, plead with him to stop, and he said never, that's when you knew. That's absolutely when you knew, John. All right, what's next?
Film Code Podcast just got around to seeing Pretty Woman for the first time.
Wow.
Julia Roberts is really pretty. I wonder if anyone's ever told her.
I'm telling you what, there was a reason for about 8 years in Hollywood, the question became, who's the next Julia Roberts? That was, it wasn't who's the next big actress. It was, who's the next Julia Roberts? She was so huge for a time. And you know what? I think my favorite movie of hers, actually it's close, but it's not Pretty Woman.
Mystic Pizza?
Not even Mystic Pizza. It's two that a lot of people don't talk about. You've heard me talk about one quite a bit, which is My Best Friend's Wedding. I love that. It's one of the only endings of a movie that made me cry. And it was Julia Roberts on
Flatliners.
Nope.
Runaway Bride.
Nope. It was the first time I ever saw Dwight Schrute from The Office. What's his name?
Rainn
again?
Wilson.
Rainn Wilson. He has a small part as a film critic. It's called America's Sweetheart with John Cusack,
Yeah.
Billy Crystal, Catherine Zeta-Jones. That movie, if you've ever done a press junket, that movie is life. The movie America's Sweethearts, to me, I love that movie so much. It is so funny and so true in so many ways. You got to see it. Have any of you guys seen America's Sweetheart?
Oh, yeah. It's hysterical.
Oh, God, I love that
But
movie.
you know what really, I think it was the Steel Magnolias.
She was real
great in
good
that.
in that.
Incredible
And
in
of course, she
Aaron
won an
Brockovich.
Academy Award for Aaron Brockovich.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite stories I always remind Anne of in my marriage. Anne, hey, John. Yes, sweetheart? What's that movie, the one about Aaron Brockovich? Aaron Brockovich? Yeah, I'm never allowed to say that one again in front
My
of her.
parents went and saw that, and I asked my parents the next day. I said, "So what did you guys think of Aaron Brockovich?" My mom goes, "Well, your father liked it, but he said you could have played that role much better than that girl." Thanks, Dad.
That's what dads are for.
Thanks, Dad.
All right,
dad.
what's next?
All right, from Nikita Mohanan. Hey, John and Rob, are the official Morbius reviews out yet? Did y'all see them? Aren't the first screenings tomorrow afternoon or evening? Damn, mind blown.
Yeah, no, the review embargo doesn't lift for another 4 hours.
Yikes.
The movie comes out tomorrow. The review embargo doesn't list until 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not a good sign, my friend.
One of our viewers sent me, somebody broke that embargo and wrote a review on Letterboxd. You know, that site on the web.
What happens if they do that?
I don't think he was an official reviewer, so I don't know if they could sanction
Get
him
put
or
in
not.
reviewer jail.
It was a 1.5-star review.
Well, anybody who brought them to the review can get sanctioned. I mean, you gotta be really careful about that. All
It
right.
was, yeah.
But if that's one person,
I
I
know.
usually don't care. I mean, if you read the wrong review, you're going to read a bad review of The Godfather.
I
So,
just don't want this. If this becomes, it would make me sad.
Yeah.
Movies are so hard to make.
yeah. Well, we'll see.
I'm
All
sad already.
What's next?
This is from Connie Singh.
Connie.
Sending in an almost $20 super chat. Thank you,
Thank you,
Connie.
Connie.
Saw Everything Everywhere all at once over the weekend, and I've never laughed and ugly cried so much at the same time before. Beautiful mind trip of a film. Also, shout out to Moon Knight for playing Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah, a lot of people got introduced to Engelbert. I'm going to tell you this right now. I had a little bit of a thought. I'm not ready to say this definitively. It might be my favorite film of the year so far. Everything Everywhere all at once. Guys, I'm not kidding. It is fucking brilliant. It is so good. It's fun. It's funny. It's got true emotional elements to it. Michelle Yeoh is Michelle Yeoh. I mean, it's so Jamie Lee Curtis. It's been a long time. I don't think I've loved Jamie Lee Curtis as much since True Lies.
Oh,
Wow.
dang.
She's
Okay.
so good at it.
That's
It's
high
not even the
praise.
biggest part, but she's in a good chunk of the movie. Go see Everything Everywhere all at once as soon as you guys get a chance.
I
It's
just want
great.
the posters now to say Michelle Yeoh is Michelle Yeoh.
That's
that is-
all
what
you
else
need
do
to
you need
know.
to
That
say?
sells the movie right there.
Oh.
All right, I'm glad you liked it, Connie. All right, what's next?
From Reels and Heels, Disney Plus edited Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes, they did.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, Reels. All right, what's next?
Fifi, Moon Knight. Woo!
Yep.
It's so much fun. I just hope, look, it doesn't have to get better. I just hope, and it can even decline in quality a little bit. Just don't decline much.
Right.
Even if you take like a 10% decline for the rest of the show, this is still a great show. So I hope it maintains its momentum. What's next?
From Julian Mott, favorite episode of Marvel television since the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I didn't love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I liked it though.
I liked it.
I
think
liked
it's
it,
my
but
favorite episode since probably something in WandaVision for me personally. But it was really good, strong start, Julian. Good, strong start. All right, what's next?
From Tony Vailable, hey John and crew, this is my first message, and today is my birthday.
Happy birthday,
birthday to you.
Love the show. Keep up the awesome work.
Yeah, Aaron almost getting us a content strike.
I know.
right there.
Sorry,
She
I was like,
realized, She realized last night. Honestly, Tony, happy birthday to you. Thank you for being here, being part of our community. May you have a wonderful day and a wonderful year ahead of you, my friend. That was one of my favorite parts of the Oscars, by the way. That was awesome.
You think someone will give him a hot toy?
Or do you want to just send it to you?
Send him one, Rob.
All right, what's next?
From Irene Jobson, here for the ass. JK.
That goes back to something Irene said the other day. All right, what's next?
Jonathan Deft, have you seen the new Mark Reliance movie, The Outfit? It's an incredible mafia crime drama that all takes place in one location. I loved it, and it's now my second favorite movie of the year behind The Batman.
I have got a couple of friends who saw it and they loved it.
Everybody loves
and
it.
I
Everyone
have not
keeps
had a
saying
chance
great
to see
You
it.
got to
yet.
see it.
Same.
Is it going to be streaming shortly? I know I hate it.
Well, within
for shame.
45 days. I mean, we
Well,
know
yeah.
before. I'm going to try to get out to see it in theaters as soon as I get a chance. But I've heard nothing but
Nothing
good
but great
things,
things,
Jonathan.
yeah.
You're just the latest person to tell me how good it is. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, what's next?
From Kevin Joyce, good stuff in Moon Knight episode 1. Wonder if they'll fill in the gaps in some capacity episode 2. I would think so.
I'm not quite sure what you mean by fill in the gaps. Like, we're just in episode 1. I mean, these stories unfold.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're definitely going to get the next part as we go. I am very curious to find out what you and Tom think about it once you guys get a
Yeah,
chance
we're
to
gonna watch it today.
All right, what's next?
From Jerome, because of shows like The Boys, Doom Patrol, we could get a live action character with poop powers, and they could make you laugh a little bit and also show you how scary the powers would be.
Didn't you guys tell me there is a character?
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
the Boys animated
It's in
series.
the show
Oh, that's right,
Diabolical,
the Boys
yeah.
animated series.
Aquafina, she can control your poop.
You could literally kill anybody if you had that power. Anybody.
Exactly.
You could just rip through their intestines.
You can make it go backwards through their mouth.
All right, now with that image in our head, what's next?
Brooks Kirk. If Ezra won't do therapy, he should drink at home. Or not drink.
Or yeah, if
Not
it's not,
drink.
if
Not
he's that's his
drink, yeah.
behavior when he drinks, maybe just not drink is really the more appropriate one. All right, what's next?
Joseph SFL. Should Warner Brothers leave it to the new regiment to address the Ezra Miller situation? Do you expect they would handle it differently?
Okay, so yeah, of course, for those of you who may not know, there is a new ownership regime is coming in. David Zaslav is about to become the new CEO of all things Warner Brothers. He, of course, runs Discovery, and Discovery has bought Warner Brothers, and it's going to be finalized in the next 6 or 7 weeks, I think. Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, it's like we said, it's too late for them to do anything about Fantastic Beasts. That movie is on the precipice of opening. There's nothing they can do about it now. Flash is still a little bit of a ways off. And any decision, there's no point probably in Warner Brothers making a decision about Ezra today, because tomorrow there's a new person in charge. You might want to leave it for them to make that decision on what to do.
I would.
David Zaslav, though, does not suffer tomfoolery. That we know, hearing some of the drama that's come out of different things that's happened at Discover. Like, he doesn't have time for that. Like, there's enough problems with trying to run a business and be a small streamer to make billions of dollars without there being in-house nonsense. And so I think you're going to see him take some pretty definitive action. But you're right. They should wait till the next person is in charge, which is going to be very, very... I would say this. If it was still months off, I would say they need to make a move now. But with it being so close, you might as well wait till the person who's going to be in charge does
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Great question, Joseph. All right, what's next?
Superhero movies are the best. What happened? Happened and couldn't have happened any other way.
Oh, what's that from?
What's done is done and cannot be undone. It's from the Scottish play by William Shakespeare.
Oh, I can't remember what, but that's specifically from a movie, and I
sorry.
cannot remember what it is.
Well.
All right, anybody in the live chat knows what it is. Go ahead and say it. Okay,
let's
what's
go.
next?
Matt McClure canceled Disney Plus today. Yay.
Well, I guess there's something that you didn't like.
Yeah.
All right, what's
You
next?
didn't get to see Moon Knight.
Yeah, you're going to miss a lot of this show then. Evan. Hey, John. Avengers Endgame hoodie with a Star Wars hat is the freshest outfit of all time.
Of course, I had my Avengers jacket, my Avengers Endgame jacket that I got at the premiere on the other day. So
Just one more evidence to support you're a Disney shill, John. Come on.
well, yeah. I don't know what it says about my Superman thing today, but yeah, there you go. All right, what's next?
From Fifi. So after rewatching The Batman for the 100th time, I realized the third act, which people claim came out of nowhere, was written that way on purpose. It came out of nowhere for Batman too.
I don't know that that's that excuse. Like, if the third act is a weakness, and that's up for debate, I don't think that necessarily excuses it. Again, for me, I didn't think it felt like it came out of nowhere. I just felt like there were pacing issues. There were things that could have been reduced and maybe handled a little bit differently, but I didn't feel like things happened out of nowhere. How did you guys feel? Like, am I safe in saying that regardless of how fantastic the movie is, and maybe even the third act, that the third act, if there is a weakness to the film, the third act might be the weakness of it?
I think so.
See, look, he asks himself at the beginning of the movie, crime is up. I've been doing this for 2 years. I have not made a difference. I have not made a difference to Gotham. And we have this nefarious guy who unleashes his megalomaniacal plan, blowing up the seawall, flooding the city. Batman has to step in. It is Gotham that shows Batman that what he's doing matters, because he rescues so many people. He's rescuing infants in the aftermath of it. He's been working presumably for hours rescuing people, and Gotham answered the question Batman asks Gotham at the beginning of the movie. Do you need me? Am I doing good? Should I continue doing this? And Gotham answers, yes, Batman, you should. That's what the end of the movie's about.
All right, what's
That's
next?
beautiful.
From Nathan Kruger, from the Oscar issue with Smith to another problem with Ezra Miller, does Hollywood need to be more strict with actors in incidents involving assault?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Let's not pretend like this is something that's happened monthly for the past 4 or 5 years. It has been a crazy week. No doubt. It has been a crazy week. With Ezra Miller, this is a systemic problem. This is something that has history going back, all that kind of stuff. But it's not like we're in a situation right now where we're finding out every month something like this happens. So I don't think there's a need to make a broader scale issue out of it than it needs to be. But with specific issues like an Ezra Miller one, where this is clearly a pattern of behavior and it is a systemic issue, yeah, they do need to get a little bit more serious about that. Listen, I'm surprised today. in the world today, especially post James Gunn, right? I don't believe any studio hires any director or any actor without hiring 5 college kids to go through every post of their social media history, to talk to every ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, ex-business partner, ex-everything.
That's it. I'm never working again.
Yes, because
Same.
today,
I literally did that when I was an HR intern.
I mean, yeah, I
Like-
mean, that's because at stake is literally projects that are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So I believe that's going to continue to be, I think vetting people that work with you is going to continue to be a big thing. But again, as an industry-wide issue, I don't think we need to think about it on that level yet. But with specific issues like Ezra, they absolutely do.
Can I also say like why I chuckled? A couple people know like, why are you laughing? That's a legitimate question. Here's why I'm laughing is because, you know, actors in Hollywood are not by virtue crazy, drunken, privileged assholes. Okay. Like actors are just other people, and that just happens to be their job. In every single city, in every single country, all over the world, there are people that have drinking problems. There are people that are privileged. There are people that are assholes. There are people that make a lot of money and they fling it around and they're just douchebags, male, female, and otherwise. It just happens to be that they don't get written about every time that they get drunk and go out in public and act like an asshole.
Yep.
They don't get, you know, people aren't taking photographs of them and like splattering their arrest. Like a lot of people have a DUI. And you know what? If you have a DUI, personally, I think you're an asshole for driving drunk. Yet no one is writing about it and no one is like taking up space all over the internet to talk about you being an asshole for driving drunk and putting other people in danger. However, when an actor does it, it makes news. So no, not every actor. In fact, the vast majority of actors are lovely, non-drunk, non-multi-millionaire people. They're just people just like everybody else, just trying to do a job, put food on their table, and pay their bills doing something that they love. So stop acting like it's actors that are the problem. The problem is that people are people, and sometimes people are assholes.
The one thing, because you're completely right. I'm reminded of a quote from one of my favorite writers, Tony Campolo, who said, and I could say it myself, if you guys saw me on my worst moment, you wouldn't listen to me.
Same.
But if I saw your worst moment, I wouldn't want to talk to you. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing. The one difference, though, the one minor difference between, I think, like what the celebrities who constantly have the cameras on them is that their mistakes and snafus can cost other people hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
100%.
I won't cost anybody anything except myself. But I mean, yeah, you're absolutely
And there
right. That's the
seems
thing.
to be the perception that they'll get away with it, which sometimes that is right. But that is also true for politicians. That is also true for people who know politicians. That is also true for people who work in industries where they have a lot of money. It's not just actors.
Yeah, one is just more visible to us.
Yeah.
Than
Exactly.
Others. All right, what's next?
All right, from John Redcorn. Do you think that one of the reasons WB delayed Flash was because of Miller's issues? They may know more about it than we do.
The only reason I would say no is because it did seem to be a slate-wide
Yeah.
move. It wasn't just Flash that got moved. It was a lot of other things that got moved too. And that the move happened prior to these latest incidents that we have now. The two truths may not be mutually exclusive. I mean, they both may be true, but I don't think it would be exclusively because of that.
And I think we would have heard more
I
buzzes.
agree.
We would have heard
Yeah.
rumblings.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Ryan Padilla. Hey, John, been watching since 2013 when I was a senior in high school. I remember you and Amma Rose and Dennis in that AMC closet.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. We were just talking about the old closet days with Ray. We literally, when I convinced AMC that we should start a movie video show, AMC Burbank 16 had this big glorified storage closet. They were just using this big round area as storage.
Oh, I remember that. I
And-
visited you there.
Yep. And they gave it to us. They let us use it as a studio. And we went in there and cleaned it all out. And for the first year or two, maybe 2 or 3, we were in that storage closet. So those are the days, man. Those are the days. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack. I also found Lucky Number 11 a very underrated type of good fun. Love that movie.
It's a very Guy Ritchie kind of movie.
Right?
I love it
it's
too.
so fun.
Yeah, I don't love it, but it definitely it puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
That's a movie that put a smile
Ticks
on
my
my face.
boxes. I like it.
All right, what's next?
Sean Miner. Literally watching from my design class. You guys rock.
Thank you so much. You know what?
don't
Going
get
all
in
the way
trouble.
back to the movie blog days, I would always be fascinated to find out how many people were either listening to our podcasts or watching our video shows from work or school. It's like, well, I really should be telling you to pay attention to what you're doing, but by all means, check us out and watch our show. All right, what's next?
All right, from Luke1234, Movie Club 1987's RoboCop.
I doubt it, but possibly.
Could be a good one.
RoboCop's not a bad one to do. Maybe.
I think it'd be a good one.
Just
that?
maybe.
I think it'd be a really good.
Yeah, that could be. I'll tell you what. I'll put that on the burner there, Luke. All right, what's next?
Josh Katz Curtis. Been rewatching Atlanta, catching up for season 3. My lord, all I got to say is Teddy Perkins, absolutely haunting. What are your thoughts?
Are you talking about that episode in season 2 with Lakeith? Yeah, that episode is bonkers. That episode's weird.
It's really good.
Ann and I got caught up on the ending of season 2 because we haven't seen it in years before season 3. I have not started watching season 3 yet. Ann has. She's all caught up. I just walked in the middle for watching episode 2 of season 3, the blackface episode. All I know is that I just watched 5 minutes of it and I was laughing and uncomfortable and woo! I cannot wait to watch episodes 1. Have you guys started catching up on
No.
Not the new
Atlanta yet?
season.
I need
Oh, yeah. Ann's been watching it so far. All right, what's next?
From Dan's Productions. I'm curious to know Aaron's thoughts about Will Smith. Well,
If only she would feel open.
I
to
know. I
discussing.
just need to like break out of my shell a little bit. You know,
so
it's just-
shy.
You know,
I
you
know.
should really learn to share your feelings more.
Yeah.
Tom's always telling me Aaron just keeps everything bottled up.
I know. I
Always
just
so
need to
bottled up.
get it
All right,
out.
what's next?
Film Code Podcast. My favorite nomination this year was Paul Tazewell.
Yeah.
Love his work and loved Rob's interview with him. Wonder if flaws in design from the past remain when they recreate period pieces.
For those of you who don't know, there is I'm a little biased now, but a terrific show called Designing Hollywood, where we feature the behind the scenes people, the costume designers, cinematographers, artists, and stuff like that, who make up the images that we see on screen. And it's a fantastic show that was spearheaded by iconic Hollywood film designer Marilyn Vance, who basically designed the look of movies in the 80s.
She
and 90s.
designed Die Hard.
She was the designer,
costume designer of Die Hard.
And Martika Ibarra, they created this show, and that show is now on the John Campea network, I guess to say. It's here. And we just put one up with the designer of
He did
West Side
Hamilton.
Story and Hamilton, Paul Tazewell, and you just did that interview with him.
Yeah, and he's working on the Michael Jackson Broadway show.
Oh.
He's an incredibly talented guy. I was very impressed with him. This week we have
And he was nominated for an Academy Award.
nominated
He
for
was just
Academy
nominated,
Award.
yeah.
We have the costume designer who designed the Green Knight, and you will find out what a vegan costume is.
All
I
right.
didn't know there were vegan costumes.
Well, there's
but-
vegan leather. Is
Yeah.
that kind of the?
yes.
Thanks for bringing that up, Film Code. Appreciate that. All right, what's next?
From Tim, bad news. Italy isn't in this year's
I
World
know,
Cup.
Tim. Thanks.
But good news, Canada is in it for the first time in 36 years. So congrats, John.
I am excited about that, but man, I would love it if I could, because every World Cup, I don't watch a lot of soccer, but every World Cup, I break out the Italian flag or wrap myself in it, watch.
I'll
watch
tell
that,
you,
but,
going to some of the restaurants, the restaurants for the countries that are playing, the most fun I've had in LA is going to World Cup games at various.
Oh, that's
ethnic-
a great idea.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that
you
next
got to
time.
find who's hosting because some of these restaurants just do it up.
Are there any Canadian restaurants in LA?
Are there any? Is there Canadian cuisine? Oh, there's poutine.
There's poutine.
poutine place,
That's all
yeah.
they serve is just poutine.
yeah, there are poutine places.
Just
but that's
on
about
Hurts
it.
and Away.
All right,
They're not going to get into
Curds
the
and whey.
last question of the day. What's
So
it?
this is from Josie Reviews. Me, which Spider-Man universe is Morbius in? Sony, keep my Spider-Man out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, again, I haven't seen the movie yet myself, that we're going to come out of the movie more confused than ever. That's kind of what we're hearing is like, we thought going into Morbius, we find out, okay, now which universe does this take? Which Spider-Man is in that universe? Blah, blah, blah. From what I'm hearing, and again, I haven't seen it myself, I'll see it myself tomorrow and I'll know for sure, is we're just going to walk out of the movie even more confused about that question than ever before. So,
How does this happen, John?
I don't know. Like, how can they knock it out of the park with Venom like they did? And I don't know. Again, I haven't seen Morbius yet. I'm going to keep hopes high. All right, we also got super chats just to be supportive from Superhero Displays, Donald Williams sending like a $10 one. Thank you. Our friend Marie Seifring and Dustin Evans sends in like a $20 one as well to support us. Thank you so much, guys, for that support. And guys, that'll do it for this almost record-long edition of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the Super Chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, find me on Twitter at Burnett RM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work.
The owner and possessor of a brand new car, Chris Carr.
Yes, get it.
Where can people find you?
Driving well. You can find me at actor Chris Carr on both Twitter and Instagram. I also teach through eebstudios.com voiceover classes. I have a new one in April, so you should sign up. Or you can go to my own website, chris-carr.com, to take private coaching lessons with me.
And joining us here today, not only by herself, is of course Erin Cummings, and Joey Bishop is here. Where can people follow you guys?
Oh, you can come check us out on Instagram at Erin L. Cummings, and please wish us luck in pilot season. We need a job to buy diapers.
Okay, luck and find. Oh, look how cute Joey is. Oh my God. And of course, you guys can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. You can see it right there, simply at John Campea. Once again, guys, if you guys are part of the channel membership, we're going to have at 2 o'clock. Did I say 1:30 before? But
2 o'clock, no.
2 o'clock, yeah, it should be 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, though, a little under an hour from now, we're going to be having our open town hall meeting. For those of you guys who are members, make sure you guys come and join us for that. And then at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, we've got our Moon Knight open spoiler discussion. We hope to see you there. And of course, come back and join us for the John Campea Show again tomorrow. So until next time, guys, thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea. And until then, my friends, bye-bye.